And so the court is going to accept this plea bargain under the circumstances. Words that come to mind when I hear the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime. And equally aggravating is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case. I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen.
Pregnant as well. How far along? 14, 15.
You know, you're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family, and I didn't know. Like, I
Get a divorce. You don't annihilate your family and throw them away like garbage.
Well, one thing led to another, and 8 years later, we have 2 kids. We live in Colorado, and he's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
It just doesn't add up. So either you're this monster, I just want this young, hot girlfriend, so I'm going to kill everyone and hope it works out, or something.
We're excited, and Cece's on week 2 of potty training. How many? Do you have any accidents today? No accidents today at school. No accidents this weekend. She's had 2 accidents in 2 weeks, which is incredible. A lot of yes, baby. She can, but after mommy, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Say thank you for being the compliments.
Thank you to compliment.
All right, guys. Have a great day, and we're going to go celebrate our excitement over here. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
I didn't know. Like, I
Stop asking about it. She didn't have anything to do with it. She wasn't there that morning. She voluntarily cooperated with law enforcement. She provided us all the information. I'm not going to tell you where she's at. Stop. Leave me alone.
And so the court is going to accept this plea bargain under the circumstances. Words that come to mind when I hear the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime. And equally aggravating is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case. I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen.
Pregnant as well. How far along? 14, 15.
you know, you're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family, and I didn't know. Like, I
Get a divorce. You don't annihilate your family and throw them away like garbage.
Well, one thing led to another, and 8 years later, we have 2 kids. We live in Colorado, and he's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
It just doesn't add up. So either you're this monster, I just want this young, hot girlfriend, so I'm going to kill everyone and hope it works out, or something.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to Watts the Obsession True Crime. It's a weekend, so it's Watts the Obsession Date Night every Friday or Saturday night. We have a live stream, oftentimes talking about the Watts case, but potentially talking about other cases. Right now, I'm also covering the Lindsay Clancy case, and we are going to be covering that trial. Opening statements will be happening on Monday. Lindsay's, we now know it's her ex-husband, Patrick Clancy, is going to be the first to be on the witness stand. So that's all going to be happening next week. So just so you know, there's going to be several live streams during the week next week to discuss that case. But tonight, we are talking about the Watts case. And oh, hey, welcome everybody. I am so super glad you're here. It's great to see everybody. I see you all in chat, and thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much, moderators. I just do have to warn you that tonight we are going to be talking about particularly graphic content. So there is a trigger warning that goes throughout this entire live stream, you know, and talking about true crime and certainly definitely the Watts case. But, you know, anytime their lives are taken, you know, it's graphic content, but tonight it's going to be particularly so. So just please come into this knowing that. And first and foremost, I always want you to take care of yourself and your mental health before anything else. But I'm really happy that you are here. So tonight we're going to be talking about what happened inside the Watts house in the final hours of the Watts family's lives, because Chris Watts, perhaps with the help or assistance of another, took the lives of his whole family. His wife, Shanann, who was 15 weeks pregnant. His daughter, Ceca, was only 3 years old. She just turned 3. And Bella, who was only 4 years old on August 13th, 2018. So why are we still talking about this case? Well, that's a really good question. And I think if you stick around for this whole live stream tonight, or if you're watching the replay, hi, you're going to get a good idea of why we still talk about this case, because we are going to be putting a number of pieces of information together, as you know, we have been doing, but there's going to be a culmination of this information coming together tonight that I think you're going to agree with me is going to literally reveal new secrets that the Watts house held from the early morning of August 13th, 2018, that are going to be secrets no more, because those details are starting to be revealed. Well, wait, hold it. I thought Chris Watts was in prison and, you know, he's been convicted and that's all resolved. So why weren't these details revealed in the first place? Well, Chris Watts made several different confessions, each containing different details. And then after that, of course, he gave different accounts of the story of what happened in those horrible hours in the early morning hours of August 13th, 2018 to various people, including authors Sherilyn Cadle, who wrote a book about it, The Letters from Christopher, that are letters in his own penmanship that he wrote to her from Dodge Correctional Facility in Wisconsin. And those details are particularly alarming. But yeah, of course, there's maybe going to be different stories from somebody who annihilated his family, who was able to murder his own family, who committed such a horrific crime. Probably is a liar, right? Well, yeah, of course. But we would expect that the officials who've been elected to serve our communities and to render justice, and the investigators that support them, would certainly tell the public the truth about what happened in this horrible crime, right? And like especially, my God, the victims' family members who lost, if you're Shanann's parents, their daughter and their grandchildren, all of them, in just a few moments in 2018. So you definitely tell them the truth, right? Of course you would. Well, unfortunately, as time has gone on and so many people have felt compelled to deep dive further into this case because things just don't seem right, we have been able to determine beyond certainty that we weren't told the truth. And above and beyond that, and so much more important, not only was I not told the truth, you weren't told the truth, the people of Frederick, Colorado, where the Watts lived, weren't told the truth. Shanann's own family wasn't told the truth by the very man that was charged with telling the truth and delivering justice to us all. And that would be District Attorney Rourke. Now, we're not going to spend much time talking about him tonight, but I do think it's important to have this understanding of the story that the district attorney was telling the world about this crime when it first happened. And he's been sticking to it, although hard evidence has shown he's incorrect. He's sticking to the same story that he told the judge at Chris Watts' sentencing. So let's just bring that in for a couple minutes as a frame of reference. And welcome to everybody coming in. I'm so glad you're here. If you don't mind, hit the like, do the YouTube things. Please join in the conversation. We definitely want to hear from you. Please just be respectful to the victims and their family members.
On behalf of the prosecution.
Yes, please. Your Honor, there are no words to adequately describe the unimaginable tragedy that brings us before this court today. By my comments, I'm not even going to try to express the horror, the pain, or the suffering that the defendant has caused to these families, to this community, and to all who are a part of this investigation. However, I do want to spend a few minutes sharing with the court the details of the crime, as so far you've only had an opportunity to review the affidavit and a few facts here and there that have been offered to the court in the motions and pleadings that have been filed. The questions that have screamed out to anyone who will listen since August 13th of 2018 are why and how? Why did this have to happen? How could a seemingly normal husband and father annihilate his entire family? For what? These are the questions that only one individual in this courtroom or on this planet knows the answers to. I fully expect we will not receive the answers to these questions today, nor will we at any point in the future. I don't expect that he will ever tell the truth about what truly happened or why. Even if he did, there is no rational way that any human being could find those answers acceptable responses to such horrific questions. The best we can do is try to piece together some kind of understanding from the evidence that is available to us. And the evidence tells us this: the defendant coldly and deliberately ended 4 lives, not in a fit of rage, not by way of accident, but in a calculated and sickening manner. Shanann was 34 years old. She had married the defendant in November of 2012. Over the weekend leading up to August 13th, she had been at a work conference in Phoenix, Arizona, and returned home in the early morning hours of August 13th. We know that she got home about 1:45 in the morning. The doorbell camera on their home shows her arriving back home from the airport. Shortly thereafter, at least according to the defendant, they had what he referred to as an emotional conversation about the state of their marriage and about what their lives would look like going forward. What was said during that emotional conversation, only he knows. What we do know is that shortly after that, the defendant strangled her to death with his own hands. We know that he slowly took her life the morning of August 13th. We know that this was not done in an uncontrolled, vengeful manner that he tried to describe to agents from CBI and the FBI. If that were the case, you would expect to see vicious, horrible bruising about her neck, shoulders, and face. You would expect to see the hyoid bone in her neck broken. You would expect to see some kind of defensive wounds on his body as she struggled and fought for her own life. None of those are present. The only injuries that were on Shanann's body were one set of finger or bruising, what appeared to be fingernail or finger mark bruising to the right side of her neck. We know that our experts will tell us that it takes 2 to 4 minutes to strangle someone to death manually with their own hands. The horror that she felt as the man that she loved wrapped his hands around her throat and choked the life out of her must have been unimaginable. Even worse, what must Bella, age 4, and Celeste, age 3, must have experienced or thought as their father, the one man on this planet who was supposed to nurture and protect them, was snuffing out their lives. They both died from smothering. Let me say that again. The man seated to my right smothered his daughters. Why? Imagine the horror in Bella's mind as her father took her last breaths away. Your Honor, understand very clearly, Bella fought back for her life. The frenulum, the connective tissue between her upper lip and her gum, had a centimeter and a half laceration. She bit her tongue multiple times before she died. She fought back for her life as her father smothered her. Celeste had no such injuries. In fact, she had no external injuries at all. But according to the medical examiner, she was smothered nonetheless. The defendant then methodically and calmly loaded their bodies into his work truck, not in a hasty or disorganized way.
Okay, now this is really important. This is what I wanted to get to. Work is saying the defendant loaded their bodies into his work truck, not in a hasty or disorganized way. But now listen to what he says next. And it's quite disgusting, since he's a district attorney who's at a sentencing, who is convicting a man on 3 counts of murder plus additional charges, who's going to be receiving 5 life sentences. And he, who is essentially the head of the investigation, could not conduct an investigation thorough enough to actually know what happened in the commission of this crime before he stood before this judge and they sentenced Chris Watts to, spending 5 life sentences in jail. Now, trust me, I think he should definitely be there and for longer. Burn in hell, bitch. But what I'm saying is, this man, District Attorney Rourke, and this investigation failed the victims and failed the publics in a grand scale way.
He was seen from the neighbor's doorbell camera, backing his truck into the driveway, going back and forth into the house and back out to the truck 3 different times, 1 time for each of their bodies. He then
Three different times, did you say? I counted 18 or 19. He said that Chris Watts took 3 trips back and forth to his work truck, 1 time to load each of their bodies. District Attorney Rourke, did we watch the same video? Because it appears to me that you have eyes and I have eyes and I can see. I know that. And you are so way off base. Also, this clearly implies that as he carried each of their bodies out to the work truck, that each of them were deceased and he was carrying their remains out to the work truck. But, well, from the evidence, not just Chris Watts' words, we know that is not entirely true. Now, the real horror of this story that District Attorney Rourke was and is still peddling is that this is a story that he told the Rusick family to convince them to be at peace in their minds and hearts with allowing Chris Watts to take a plea and not taking this case to trial. So they then agreed with him. Okay, cool. Yeah, you know what? All right, we that's good. We won't do that. We're fine with that. We are at peace with that. Well, on behalf of the Rusick family, their attorney later said in a Dr. Phil show, and I showed this several times, it's in my videos in a number of places, that had the Rusick family, meaning Shanann's parents, known what Bella specifically actually endured on that horrific day, they would not have been okay with Chris Watts taking the plea deal, and they would have, in fact, wanted to see this case go to trial. How horrible is that? So, rather than being told what actually happened in the commission of the crime, as a district attorney should be able to, by the time of the sentencing, because a thorough investigation has been conducted, the Rusick family had to find out from Dr. Phil after the 3 investigators, Graham Coder, Tammy Lee, and Dave Baumhover, went to Dodge Correctional Facility after Chris Watts was in prison to conduct that post-sentencing interview with him, where they were shocked to find out that, according to him, when he drove that truck from 2825 Saratoga Trail to Survey 319, his daughters were alive, sitting in the back seat of the truck with their feet dangling over their murdered mother. How horrible is that?
And drove them away from their family home one final time, intent on hiding any evidence of the crimes that he had just committed. In one final sign of callousness for his wife, his daughters, and their unborn son and their remains, he drove them to a location that he thought no one would ever find them. To one of the oil tanks.
Okay, and so the rest of this he gets roughly right, but not completely. So this is a story that has been being told all along by District Attorney Rourke, and it's simply not true. So tonight, what we are going to look at are the horrifying details of what actually happened in the Watts house in the family's final hours, what the investigation missed, and most importantly, the actual evidence, the facts, and the corroborating detail that corroborate the details that are revealed when we look at the evidence of the investigation critically and can determine, not exactly, but pretty damn close, as to the horrifying events that happened in the Watts family house in the early morning hours of August 13th, 2018. So welcome to all of you who are coming in. I'm so happy you're here. Please do hit the like. There is going to be more graphic content discussed tonight than normal. There is a poll up. Definitely please answer it. And I just asked, do you believe that complete justice has been served to the victims? And so then with this happened before, it's happening again. When I put up a poll, I have to put up a goal. It's like a super chat goal. And you can do super chats if you want on this channel. Nobody ever does, and that's okay. I'm just happy you're here. But you're certainly allowed to, and I will pin your comment, and I definitely appreciate the support of the channel. YouTube is giving me like a little bit of pressure like that because my uploads from their perspective perform a lot better than my live streams. But I love doing live streams because I love reading your comments, being able to have a discussion with you guys, and having the community interaction. So there is that. Okay, so I have a lot planned for you guys tonight. So first, I'm just going to bring a little something into the stream, and it is part of a video that I created a couple of years ago that focused on what happened specifically in the Watts basement. We're going to only watch a couple minutes of it, and then we're going to build from there. So welcome and pay attention because we have a lot to take a look at tonight. Oh, start screen. There we go. I just got a little confused by my own brain. This is Kelly from Watts the Obsession. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. Please click like and subscribe. Please be advised that this video will be discussing some facts and theories that are very difficult to hear. Viewer discretion is required. The Watts basement. Chris Watts' basement. It is a location that has been at the center of speculation by many for a number of reasons.
I didn't know what was going on.
Did you go down to the basement? I thought the basement door opened.
Yeah, the door is open, but yeah.
Something's upsetting us here. We will talk about that infamous basement, the reasons people speculate something nefarious and horrific may have happened in that basement, what Chris Watts himself had to say about that basement, including something that those of you who have more recently begun to follow this case probably do not know. There are a good number of people who speculate that Nicole Kessinger was in the basement at the time of the murders or after the murders in an effort to get rid of evidence. The question has long lingered, was Nicole Kessinger, Chris Watts' former mistress, involved in this tragedy either before, during, or after the fact? Although the answer is still unknown, I am personally one of the people who believe there is more than enough evidence to show that Nicole Kessinger played some criminal part in this nightmare. As I've pointed out many a times, for God's sake, she says so herself.
You had read some newspaper articles on the 13th and the 14th that regarded this case. You had also had a conversation with Chris at some point during the day on Monday. And on Tuesday, because of what you found. Specifically, what you said was, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but you found out that his wife was pregnant.
Yes.
And you did not know that prior. And you found that out via the newspaper articles, and that caused you concern. What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what? When I deleted those? I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, that you just lied to me, and I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it. It was the hurt that made me delete it. And then it was the lie that made me start questioning everything else he'd been telling me for the last few days.
And that's when you decided to come forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Although I believe that Nicole Kessinger should be charged with obstruction of justice and whatever charges are found to be legitimate after a proper and thorough investigation of this crime is done that includes an investigation into her role before, during, or after the murders. I am simply unsure if she was in the basement the night of August 12th and or going into the early morning of August 13th when Shanann arrived home at 1:48 a.m. from her delayed flight back to Denver from Arizona. The hard evidence we have showing Nicole Kessinger was at or very near the Watts home during the time that matters is at 6:16 a.m. phone ping in Frederick, Colorado, placing her phone right near the house. Its location her phone had rarely registered ever, as far as we know. And as far as we know, it had never registered during the early morning hours. We also know the event immediately preceding the 6:16 a.m. ping, according to her phone records, is the end of the mysterious 111-minute phone call on Sunday evening, the evening before the murders that went from 9:28 p.m. to 11:19 p.m. The call that was significantly longer than any other call between Nicole Kessinger and Chris Watts, and it's also the call that is significantly longer than any other call that appears on her phone records for a period of 3 months. Must have been a big deal. It was a really long call. Now, please note this entire video is not going to be about Nicole Kessinger, but some of it is. So there's that. There's the ping that a lot of people know about that happened in Frederick, Colorado. And Clueless, I see you, no worries. At 6:16 a.m., the morning of the murders. And that was according to experts in the industry who analyzed this technologically very thoroughly. That ping had to have happened in under their range. It's under 300 to 400 yards from the house. That means the furthest from the house she possibly could have been when that ping happened was 300 or 400 yards. Okay. So then last week, do you remember this? Last week, we went over those FBI documents that for some reason I got an email about that had just recently been released in response to a FOIA request I had put in twice. And I mean, the last one was over a year ago. So we went over those and determined, well, this was my opinion at least, and it seems that most of you in chat who watched the video agreed that the most significant thing of the very limited information, of all of the information the FBI looked into concerning this case, was that we learned that there was a specialized computer technology assessment team from the FBI assigned to specifically examining the Watts family's house router. Okay. And there was even a special agent who was put in charge as supervisor of this team, who was charged with specifically analyzing the Watts family's home router. That's kind of interesting, right? So we never knew that before. Why did we never know that before? And all of the 1,960 pages of discovery, and then the ones that they took away, there's like no mentioning of that whatsoever. So what else do we know about the Watts home router? Because this is truly new information. It's a rhetorical question. I have an answer. Here we go. Sorry, I have a lot of material on deck for you today, so it's why it's taking me a second between. Okay. Watts family's router. So on Sunday, 8/12, the day before the murders, at 12:15 p.m., Chris' personal phone connects to the home router. So what I'm going over here is according to the discovery, the work product of the investigation, the part that this is what was revealed to us at least. This is what we know about the various devices that connected to the Watts home router on the day before the murders and the day of the murders. It does not connect again until 9:45 p.m. And many people say, well, this means Chris Watts didn't get home until 9 p.m., giving evidence in their minds that after he took Bella and Celeste to the birthday party at the Lindstrom's house, he went somewhere else and not just home, perhaps out to Survey 319 then. I'm not sure if I believe that is what it means because, quite honestly, I don't understand enough about when and why a device connects to a specific router. But again, we're going to get into more detail on that in just a moment. And then again, at 11:20 p.m., twice, 11:20 and 35 seconds, and then 36 seconds, Chris's personal phone connects to the home router. And this is just 2 minutes after the 111-minute phone conversation between he and Nicole Kessinger ends. We then see that Chris's personal phone connects to the home router at the following times: 1:11 a.m., 1:32 a.m., 1:35 a.m. Then Shanann's personal phone connects with the Watts family home router when she arrives home at 1:48 a.m. after Nicole Utoff drops her off at her house. Then, very interestingly, at 5:25 a.m., an unknown Apple device connects to their home router at 5:25 a.m. That's interesting, right? Now, some people have suggested that unknown device might be Shanann's Apple Watch, but I don't think that's the case. First, okay, so I'm just going to stop here. So at 5:25 a.m., the morning of the murders, an unknown Apple device connects to the Watts home router. So since last week's live stream, I already did this research. I did it again. It was not Shanann's iPad. It was not Shanann's watch. It was not Shanann's iPhone, because all of those devices are accounted for in the discovery. So it was not a Watts family device. And that very same device that connected to the Watts home router at 5:25 a.m. the morning of the murders, that's between the time when Chris Watts backed his truck up into the driveway and then drove off to Survey. That very same device also connected to the Watts home router the day before the murders, which was hours before the murders, and that was at 10:20 a.m. when no one was supposed to be home other than Chris and the girls. Shanann was in Arizona. All of her other devices were accounted for. And guess who has an Apple device? Well, Nicole Kessinger has an iPhone. Obviously, other people do as well, but I mean, it's just, come on now, guys. Well, because the authorities had the Apple Watch and would have known that's what it was. Just 1 second. I keep meaning to read these comments I starred. And these are all things that we're going to go over tonight, okay? So Chris Julie at some point said, I beg to differ. Her cell phone did put her there in the morning. And then, hey, how are you doing? It's great to see you, Miss C.D. Isaacs. Why was there a rock under Bella's bed? We're going to talk about that. Molly Colleen Welcome says, it seems safe to say that Engate gave him an ultimatum of some kind, and she absolutely did. I made 2 videos about that. That's for 100% sure. And Clueless, why am I the only one expecting or raising your phone when something like this occurs? Also, she provided a viable explanation. You do not like it or agree, but that doesn't change. Yeah, she provided a viable explanation that she manufactured, but it was a total lie. Her explanation was, I erased everything having to do with him on my phone because the day after the murders, I, for the very first time, found out Shanann was pregnant. That is absolutely absurd. And I guess what? I made a video about this. From the time Shanann knew she was pregnant and announced it to the world. By the way, the first 4 days she did that were June 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Guess when the first recorded correspondence between NK and Chris Watts is? June 12th. The last of those 4 consecutive days when Shanann was announcing to her family and the world and recording it on Facebook that she was pregnant. And Nicole Kessinger's first email to him says, "I appreciate your honesty." And then after that, during the course of her relationship with Chris Watts, she posted on Facebook about her pregnancy, just like totally about her pregnancy, a picture of her pregnant, being, "I'm so happy I'm pregnant," whatever, or just referring to her pregnancy like, "Oh, it's 98 degrees out and I'm pregnant, towing around 2 kiddos and I'm feeling great because of Thrive." She posted about her pregnancy on Facebook a total of 68 times. So don't even account for the information above and beyond that is known, but is not known to the public, that you clearly don't believe me about, Clueless. We don't even need to account for that. You have to be fucking clueless if you think Shanann posted about her pregnancy a total then 68 plus 4 is 72 times during the course of Kessinger's relationship with Watts, and Nicole Kessinger never saw that. She had an absolute obsession with Googling Shanann Watts' name and Chris Watts. And that is noted in the discovery, the particular instances where the writers of the discovery, the investigators and the people who are writing in the supplements tell us about specific searches, or just select ones that they picked out as benchmarks. So yeah, she provided a viable explanation, and it was a viable explanation because she's a pretty smart woman. And she thought that would be a believable story when she told investigators that, but it was a total lie. So I don't know what you're saying, but there's that.
But we also have this, another instance of that unknown device connecting to the home router. So it's on Sunday, August 12th, the day before the murders. We have Chris Watts' work phone connecting to the home router at 9:26, 9:29, and again at 9:29. Then at 10:20 a.m., an unknown Apple device connects to the home router. And I believe it's the same device because it has the same MAC address. So on this day, Sunday, August 12th, in the morning, it should have only been Chris and the girls, Bella and Celeste, home by themselves. Nobody else was known to be in the house. So what is this unknown Apple device connecting to the Watts home router, and to whom does that device belong? Considering that unknown device connected to the Watts home router at 5:25 a.m. on the morning of the murders at 5:25 a.m. on August 13th, 2018, let's take a look at Chris Watts' movements early that morning. So we can see by looking at this time log provided from Anadarko of the geotab information on Chris Watts' work truck that he starts his truck at 5:18 a.m. at 2825 Saratoga Trail. We then know that Chris Watts takes several trips back and forth to the house, loading his work truck with something and doing God knows what. We know this because we see this happening on Nate's security camera footage that the whole world has seen. Now, we also know from this information provided from Anadarko that Chris Watts leaves 2825 Saratoga Trail at 5:46 a.m. He then drives to Survey 319, arriving there at 6:53 a.m. So it is right between the times when Chris Watts starts his work truck at 5:18 a.m. and when he leaves his house at 5:46 a.m. does this unknown Apple device connect to the Watts home router. That really gives you something to think about now, doesn't it? So next, there's some interesting information about the Vivint.
So again, the summary of that was that an unknown Apple device connected to the Watts home router on Sunday, August 12th, the day before the murders at 10:20 a.m. when Shanann was in Arizona and all of the Watts family devices were accounted for. That very same unknown Apple device connects to the Watts home router the morning of the murders, during the time when Chris Watts was running from the house to his truck more than 3 times, as DA Work had told us, putting Shanann's remains in the truck, putting Bella in the truck, and we're just not sure about Cece at this point. Just so freaking horrible. Oop, where's my little notebook? Hold it. I gotta grab my notebook to know what to do next. Just one minute. And welcome to those of you coming in. I'm so glad you guys are here. Please say hello in chat. Let us know where you're watching from and hit the like if you do. Excuse me. Okay, so now I want to focus our attention a bit on the dog searches. Now, I'm sure many of you are aware of the dog searches, and many of you have seen, some things that were missed when the two different dogs searched the Watts home. So there was Cody, Jane's dog, and Cody, Jane's dog was a trauma dog. Cody, Jane's dog would identify and indicate when the dog picked up signs of trauma having to do with the subjects that he was searching for using their scent. And then there was also a cadaver dog that was brought in the house. Jane's dog, Cody, and the dog's name was Scout. Jane's dog, Cody, then went to walk around the neighborhood, and there is a whole lot in this footage that we need to discuss. So first, let's bring in Jane and her dog, Cody. And I'm going to take this video. I have it on my channel. I'm going to pick it up from Unjustified's channel, and I'll put the link to Unjustified's channel and this video in the chat because she does nice clear videos with good sound. Thank you, Unjustified. Okay, I'm going to put this on 1.5 speed for a while. I'm going to mute it for a while I'm talking, and we'll then, of course, play on normal speed and listen to sound, audio, and the important parts. So this here is Jane. And her dog, Cody. Again, Cody is a trauma dog. He is going to pick up the girl's smell, and then he's going to indicate or let his handler know when he senses anything that indicates trauma, something really traumatic happened in a certain location having to do with Bella or Celeste, because that's what he's being trained to do here. I'm so sorry about the dog barks. If you have earbuds in, please be careful. It's really hard to even this out. You'd have to go through, and it's almost impossible to do. So just know that. I don't want you to hurt your ears. Here, let me just pause that because I don't want to keep this up to obstruct your view here. But thank you so much, Lady Claire 51. I really appreciate the support and the super chat and your message here. Lady Claire says, I've only recently fallen down the rabbit hole that is Nicole Kessinger. Oh my gosh. And it's a deep hole. I want to thank Kelly and the community for continuing to seek justice. Amazing work, Kelly. Thank you. Well, thank you. That's so super kind of you, Lady Claire. I appreciate it. And welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And thank you again. And Malibu Sunset, it's 500 jewels. And I'm still not sure exactly what the jewels are, but I love them. They're so pretty. I love the colors and I love the support. And thank you so much. And Malibu Sunset again. And then Tiger sent 30 jewels. And Malibu Sunset again. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And by the next live stream, I'm going to know exactly what they're all about so I can thank you more specifically and also explain to everyone.
What's that? I said, learn about the beads. Yeah. And imagine an adult doing that.
2 minutes here to pull something up out of the discovery. So that's why nothing too exciting is happening, and I'm playing it with audio and on normal speed, but then I'll move it along at a more efficient clip in just a moment.
At all as far as the kiddos go? We haven't. Looks fairly specific to him. Work booth, cooler, tools, or anything. Yeah. Really? So that's why. These are great sources of scent from kids. I think wife's office, her shoes were in this back room to the right, the second one to the right.
Okay, hold it. I'm just done doing the business I was doing with the discovery. So I just want to say, I should put this up as a quiz, but does anyone know how many times the dogs cumulatively indicated on something either in the house or around the house? So how many times did either the trauma dog or cadaver dog show an indication, ranging from a less intense indication, but still clearly an indication from the dog, to really intense indications? And you know, Jane's dog is indicating because there's a certain pattern. It's woof, woof, pause, woof, woof, pause, woof, woof. And if Jane's dog, Cody, who's a young and excitable dog as it is, so sometimes Cody will make noise and just bark or get a little excited, and it's not an indication. He's just kind of like, woof, 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 like just excited doggy stuff. And then the cadaver dog indicates differently. He indicates silently. And different kinds of dogs, and some of you may know this, and I don't want to bore you with it, but different kinds of dogs will be either they'll be trained to indicate differently because that's what their handlers want, or that's what the job must entail, or sometimes dogs will be allowed to indicate what is natural to them. Like Cody, maybe he was trained, it has to be rough paws, or maybe that's just what Cody did because Cody's a vocal dog. But dogs that are like I don't know if they're bomb sniffing dogs or dogs that are looking for drugs and investigations, they're not going to have a really loud, clear indicator because it's not safe or conducive to the investigation. So we just have to recognize that the search dogs are trained to look for different things, or as Officer Line says, they have different skill sets and they indicate in different ways. But between the two dogs, they indicate a total of 5 times. And we're going to talk about exactly what those things are and why they're important. I think one of them is going to absolutely shock you.
It's pink, whatever it is.
Yeah, could it be
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm just going to keep moving this along. I'm not good at coordinatedly moving it along and watching it and also talking like I just was. So, but I'm going to try. Okay, so she's going to explain to Officer Lanes at some time that, you know, that Cody is a trauma dog, and, you know, the body, of course, generates certain scents from stress chemicals when we're in trauma. So, you know, that's what Scout is picking up here. So Scout's walking around the whole house, doesn't really pick up too much downstairs. We do see that one kind of weird scene where he goes into the closet in Shanann's office, right? And there's that doll, and it sounds like Nicole Kessinger's giggles, which is super weird, but it isn't really relevant to the investigation. And here, look at me multitasking here. There's some other interesting things here. It has to do with paranormal, but you guys, I just want to point it out. Okay, I'm going to let this play in regular speed because it's beyond just the dog walking into the closet. If you don't want me to point this stuff out and just stay focused on, we can do that. But something happens in this room that not a lot of people have picked up.
A lot of these are motion activated. These are the shoes that she took the scent off of.
Okay.
Yes.
It just happened. You know what? I made a video about a year ago about all the paranormal things about this case. You just heard, it's like a really loud whisper. But if I stop to point out all these things, because most of the paranormal EVPs or whatever that are heard are in the dog video, the dog search video. And I think that is because, you know, if there are actually spirits out there, it would only make sense to me that they'd be attracted to animals and children, because that's just, I guess, my view of the world. But you know what? Go ahead and watch that video. We can do a live stream about it another time too. And then was obviously the weird giggle when he walked in. But we're going to have to move you along, Cody, because we got a lot of dog search footage and only so much time. All right. So when they go upstairs, that's when things get interesting.
Coming out of there.
Yeah. So there's your attic access right there. Do I need to climb up there?
You know, I've had noticed sometimes.
It's just my gloves.
Since this place has been so infinitely cleaned recently, that's kind of interesting to me. That's the way it is. Can you see any kind of dust or anything on that shelf where somebody might have? There's no right now. It doesn't look like anything.
No.
Okay. That's what we needed to know, though.
No, it has not been disrupted.
Okay.
We're just zipping them along here.
So that's good to know that, though.
Okay.
No, wait, we can't miss that. Okay, here. Okay. Okay, so Officer Lines is here in the laundry room. And Jane had gone into Bella's room, and then she summons Officer Lines into Bella's room here. Oh, there we go.
What's that? Yep.
See if you can go in.
Here. Got a book under there. And a rock. Oh, hello. Just a big book.
No storage or nothing. Now see, this is a bed though, so sand will go down. You think somebody's sleeping in
Oh,
there.
that was my glasses.
Now, did you get everything?
Yeah, do you want me to pull the book out? It's literally right here.
Oh.
Now, notice how intense, and again, I'm sorry you're going to hear the dog bark again, but notice how, kind of, I think Cody's a little intense here. He's definitely indicating. And then we're going to talk about this book and what's going on in Bella's room, because it's much more significant than they're giving Cody any kind of credit for. Did I say Scout? This is Cody. Whoops. There's the indications with the barks and the pauses and the barks and the pauses.
Yep.
See if you can go in.
Here. Got a book under there. And a rock. Oh, hello. Just a big book.
No storage or nothing. Now see, this is a bed though, so sand will go down. You think somebody's sleeping in
Oh,
there.
that was my glasses.
Now, did you get everything?
Yeah, do you want me to pull the book out? It's literally right here.
Oh.
Okay, so that book right there, okay? So now Jane is explaining to Officer Lines that sometimes scent, it's like heavy, it will tend to go down. So they're just thinking that Cody here is picking up on this book. Now, this book is significant because it was one of Bella's favorite books. It was known to be one of Bella's favorite books for a really long time. Shanann, not surprisingly, joined an MLM that was a children's book MLM. She joined a number of, what did we count? About 10 MLMs. I have a couple videos on that too that are pretty well watched. If you're interested in that, go check it out after this. I'll put the links in the description. And this book is one of those MLM books. She joined that particular MLM in 2015. And we have this here. Well, Bella wanted Shanann post to Facebook, put Bella to bed, and she wanted to read one more book. So she grabbed a book off her shelf and sat in her chair in the dark and started flipping the pages. And then there's a picture of Bella in the dark. And then Frank Rusick comments, "Poor Bella, you better hide that camera when I get there. Love you, Bella." Oh, you know what? And I actually did have a clip of Cindy Watts talking about how she thought it was so sad how much the girls had to sleep. And when she stayed there, she was told that she could never disrupt the girls from their sleep. They had to go to sleep every night at 6:30. And it really saddened her that she would, during her stay there, she would see Bella crawl out of her bed, crawl over to her bookcase, get a book that she couldn't read in the dark because she wasn't tired and she was looking for ways to comfort herself in the dark and to entertain herself. She wasn't ready for bed is what Cindy was saying. So that book is the same book that we see here under Bella's bed. And that is also, I have one more for you. And this is from Neek's Peaks, the channel Neek's Peaks. This picture is. The pictures around everywhere. This is where I found it the easiest. This is a book. This is another Facebook post. Shanann holding that book, Just a Little Critter Collection, this particular book. And Bella loved that book. It may have been the same book that she was holding here in the dark. We don't know. But it was definitely the book
that was found under the bed. Now, why is all of this important? Well, remember that Cody is a trauma dog, Jane. You told us yourself. And, I know this from researching these dogs like crazy. I mean, years ago and a number of times since then, and researching other dogs and taking everything I could from actual search dog trainers, that Cody's not going to give his indicator bark if he just smells Bella's book under the bed, even if she recently touched it. Well, she recently laid in the bed too. She recently touched a lot of things in the house. So the reason we have to conclude that the reason Cody is indicating here is because he is smelling the signs of trauma that he's trained to smell. And we know that Cody is a provenly successful trauma dog. And why is that? That's going to come up in a minute. So why did he indicate at Bella's bed? I'm going to play a little more of this, and then we're going to talk more about the why. But put a pin in that for sure, okay?
That's it. Uh-huh. That's what he was showing me.
Okay.
No, he wasn't, Jane.
I'm
I
going to
don't
step
know
back in the
why.
room for a second.
Okay.
They're acting like this is nothing. It's just crazy. All right, so she's jamming around. Laundry. Goes in the bathrooms. Oh, sorry. While they were just in that bathroom, Jane is telling Officer Lyons that she can tell that Cody has really picked up the girl's scent very well. How she knows that, I don't know, because she doesn't know some other things, but okay. Okay, now we're going to go down. They don't pick up anything. There's like a very light indication in Shanann's bed, but it's the lightest of them all in the bedroom, which is a little bit weird because from what we are told, Shanann was murdered in the bed. There was the indication. If you just heard it, he did a couple indicators. I don't want to blast you out again. It is the lightest indication, but he's showing interest here. He's showing interest just as he goes into the bedroom and onto Shanann's side. No, I don't know if that's Shanann's side of the bed. I'm lying. I don't know whose side of the bed is whose. I thought I did, but I don't. So he does indicate, but very gently in there, which is a little inconsistent with all the rest of it. But I'm just being honest about what's happening here. So now they're going to go in the bathroom. Nothing happens there. And they're going to make their way downstairs and into the basement. Watch your ears if you have earbuds in.
That's interesting.
Oh, listen, I know. By the way, I know some people say this. I'm pretty sure it's True Crime Rocket Science who started this, saying that this bin right here is a bin full of OxyContin. Guys, it's not. It's a bin full of solutions of vial for nebulizers to treat children's asthma. How do I know this? Well, I researched it based on the pictures by blowing up and clarifying the pictures. And also, my son used the exact same medication. I recognized it off the top of my head really easily, but I still clarified and zoomed in on the pictures to make sure, and then did a Google image search comparison. This is not a bin of OxyContin. In 2018 and definitely today, nobody got prescribed bins of OxyContin. That's fucking absurd. So I just had to point that out. No offense, True Crime Rocket Science, but I mean,
Jules, I know that their dog's name is Dieter, not Cody. This trauma dog's name is Cody. The Watts family's dog name is Dieter, and the cadaver's dog name is Scout.
Copy. 12:38. Go ahead, sir. Center Bluff Willow Drive. 12:39.
Wait. Hey. Yep. Interesting, because immediately.
Okay, so obviously Cody, the trauma dog, is hitting hardcore in the basement. So I'm just going to let this play. Watch your ears with the barks because their conversation is important. Imagine, thank you for the jewels, and I'm going to come back to your comment about why maybe the dog alerted up in Bella's room. I think that's super insightful. I started it. We're going to come back to it in a minute.
Are you trying to tell me something? Just need a break. Here, check. He's trying. Something's
upsetting up here.
Yep, something's upsetting in here.
Dispatch up 105.
Time for unit line.
Cool.
105. You can attach me to that meet. I'll be on the scene as well.
Something's upsetting here in this area. Here. Something's upsetting in here.
Okay.
Because see, he's trying to tell me something. And you need to kind of mark that. Although this is
What's that?
the stairs, so we need to mark this area as an area of interest. Don't know why. See, he's getting pretty. That's of a trauma type.
Okay.
And it's right by the stairs, and there's a fan running there. So see all of that.
It's on Canyon Big House.
Either that
Heartbeat with LVN trucking report, wanting to report their tractor trailer missing. It never arrived, and the driver's refusing to deliver possibly area. Okay.
His nose is down to the ground along here. You notice that? It's been up in the air. Here, take it. Calm down. Okay, I mean, there's some reason. Okay, maybe have or one of the others.
Could be what? How much of a role will the furnace play on that?
Huh?
Will the furnace affect any of that?
Well,
Do I need to shut it off?
I'm going to switch video to another video I did where I put captions on. It's a little easier to follow, and it moves along quickly. Welcome to those of you coming in. Thanks so much for being here. Please join us in the chat. Just be respectful to one another and the victims and their family members. We definitely want to hear from you, and please hit the like if you do.
This bed is definitely not made. Stuff on hangers, coats.
That intensity, see, he hasn't been that intensity.
There's a dead wasp on the bed, but
not been that intensity. Yeah.
there's a sleeping mask right here too.
Huh?
There's a sleeping mask right there too.
And this has not been cleaned up like everything else.
Sure hasn't.
See, this may be her scent. Something has set him off.
Oh, that's a like a night sleep.
Is that what it is?
A night sleep mask.
Something has set him off down in this area.
Okay, so we also know that the investigators who went to visit Chris Watts at Dodge Correctional Facility in February of 2019 were very interested in the basement. They didn't ask a whole lot of pointed questions, which was really surprising and strange for such a long interview when so little is known about the actual details of the crime. But one thing they did ask specific questions on was, did Watts go into the basement? And they explain
Okay, I wasn't planning on going there, but since it already started playing, we'll just listen to what he says. And that is very true. They did not, I mean, you guys probably have heard much of the interview. In that 3.5 hours, they did not ask a lot of pointed material questions. Now, did they? But they asked very specific questions about that basement.
a little bit about why, and I'll expand more on that later in this video.
What other things did you do that maybe we even missed?
So the phone and watch. Yeah. I think I threw the therapy book she wanted me to read in the trash.
That was that morning.
I think so.
Were you trying to make it look like she threw it in the trash?
I don't know. I just didn't think nothing was ever going to work again. So I didn't know what was going on.
Did you go down to the basement? I thought the basement door opened.
Yeah, the door is open, but yeah. So there was a lot of movement. I think it was around 4:26 or something. And from the garage door opening, the basement door opening, and then of course the living room sensors and all. Do you remember what you were doing all during that time?
You had a lot of steps. I'll just say that.
So like the basement, I'm not sure. I mean, the only thing I really have down there is my workout, the bench press.
Do you remember going down there for anything or opening that door for anything? Did you think about, well, maybe I'll take her out that way, or is it a walkout basement?
No,
it wasn't at your house. Okay.
That's like a garden level basement. So.
Okay.
But no, I don't know the place. What's that? I don't think I worked out that morning.
It's like, were you packing your lunch in the kitchen? Like, did you have to do all that normal stuff? Okay.
I packed lunch and everything. Did all that. I don't remember about the basement. Unless I just worked out that morning, I just don't remember. I don't think I did.
So one of the more.
Unless there was a trash bag down there at that time.
Yeah, you got trash bags from there.
Maybe there wasn't any in the garage, and I went down there and got one. Do you normally carry a roll of trash bags in your truck? No. So there was a roll in the truck. Yeah. Maybe.
Okay, so basically they're calling him out on the fact that he went downstairs to get a roll of trash bags. Now, and I've included this in another video. When you go through the garage, there are several boxes of rolls of trash bags, like kitchen trash bags, bathroom trash bags, contractor trash bags, construction trash bags. So the fact that the reason he went down in the basement to get a trash bag, to me, I don't think so. Daniel makes a great point. I can barely stand that bark during the podcast. How is that lady able to repeatedly ignore her dog when her dog is obviously trying to tell her something? Just another weird aspect of this case. Well, yeah, exactly. Good point, Daniel. So, all right, now let's go back to, now let's bring in the cadaver dog and see how that dog responds. Oh, wait, sorry. I got a little lost in this one here. So which one are we at? Okay, hold it. Okay, so it's Jane. Sorry, guys. Okay, so this is the next person. So this is Jeff now with a Scout. Jane leaves, Jeff comes down. Okay.
Sounds good. We don't know. It's the only bed in the house that's unmade.
Dispatch, Jones County 23. Johnson 832. Correction, Johnson 8233. I'm going to run down to Johnson's Corner and see if I can attempt to find this vehicle that they've lost. Copy, Sony, you're up.
So now Jeff is going to explain, or this isn't Jeff. Is it Jeff? I'm not sure. No, it is. He's going to explain to Officer Lines that the dog showed some interest around the area of the bed, not too clear, but there's definitely no bodies or body parts down there. Now, here's the real shame of this handler and his dog.
A good sent article possibly for the future, but I think we're good for now.
Did it work?
We'll
Well, we're
I don't
not
know
getting
if
to
you
the
guys were out talking with Officer Perez as far as the car seats go and collecting scent. The kids were wet when they got in the car seats. The car seats are still in the car. Both of those kids are old enough to put themselves in and out.
Okay.
So I don't know if he touched those or not, but they passed that information along to me.
Okay. They probably have, especially under the pads, we're all sweating through and stuff.
Right.
Probably would be a good sent article possibly for the future, but I think we're good for now.
Did it work?
We'll
Okay, perfect. Didn't want to not pass something on, so. Wow.
Okay, so Jeff and Scout are walking out. Where do they not go? Well, they just keep walking out. Up the stairs. Please go up to the bedroom. If this is a cadaver dog and Shanann died in the bed, your dog will pick up the scent. But no, he just walks out the front door. What? The actual, what? Like, come on, guys. So, I said earlier when Jane's dog, the trauma dog, Cody, went up to Shanann's room, it showed interest, but it was by no means a hard indication. But we don't know if the cadaver dog would have picked up this scent of death because they never bothered to take the dog upstairs. You're in the freaking house. Why not just say, hey, can you just go upstairs? I mean, would it take another 3 minutes? It would have been a hugely, hugely valuable source of the investigation. So far we have the hit in Bella's bedroom. We have the showing interest by the trauma dog in Shanann's bedroom. We have the insane indication by the trauma dog, Cody, in the basement. And then Jeff's dog, Scout, doesn't hit in the basement, but he says is showing interest. There's no body parts down here, but my dog is showing interest. Something strange is going on. So how could this all be? Now, first, I just want to say the way I think about what happened in Shanann's bedroom with, the trauma dog not giving a hard hit, but showing some interest. I'm just so pissed that cadaver dog didn't go up there because I've always believed, and I think a lot of you do too, I do believe that Shanann was murdered in her bed. And I do believe that she was asleep when coward pussy Chris Watts murdered his wife by putting his hands around her neck. He had no injuries that showed that, she was trying to fight him off. I think he would have if they were having like an argument standing up and, they're screaming, their arms are flailing and he grabbed her. She would have fought back and it would have left marks. Does anyone disagree with that? So I think the reason that Cody didn't pick up on trauma in Shanann's bedroom, perhaps just slight interest, was that Shanann was sleeping, so she didn't experience that trauma. So those are 4 of our 5 hits from the dogs. So I'm going to bring something else in here so we can talk about why Cody did a hit up in Bella's bedroom and went nuts in the basement. Oh, I'm starting to lose my voice. It happens every live stream. I need to get a stronger, I need voice lessons or something, I guess. Is that what I need? Help me out. Hey, Tiger, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for being here and for your support. I love seeing you in chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And welcome to everyone coming in. Okay, guys, this is really important here. Really super important. All right, where's my little notepad with timestamps? Of course, I put it under my computer. Just one second. There we go. Sorry about the noise. So I pick back up at 12 minutes and 24 seconds. Here we go. So I'm going to be reading you another part of Letters from Christopher, and I do want to warn you that we're going to start to approach the topics that I need to attach that trigger warning to, so to speak. This really is very difficult to hear content. And so if you know that might be upsetting to you, maybe it would be time to just step away and you can think about if you want to watch this later, it's going to be available. But please, please don't, cause yourself anxiety or stress that you can't handle, because this kind of stuff does cause us anxiety and stress. It just does. So the beginning part of this letter just begins with some niceties and some small talk and reassuring Cheryl and Cadel of Chris's deep faith and pious devotion to the Lord, essentially, before he gets into some information about the investigation. He says, dayroom time is when we all can use the phone, watch TV, play cards, other games, and talk with each other. The rest of the night I spend reading or writing until I fall asleep, sometimes around 11 p.m. As you can see, I pray, read, and write a lot. My faith of the Lord is it's my stability. He gives me to spread his word, consumes most of my day, and I love it. The Lord's presence lets me rest in peace, knowing that his grace and love surround me. You say the canine dogs went crazy in one spot in the basement, and I can't think of a physical reason why. I went downstairs that morning to the basement to get some trash bags, but that's it. I know dogs can see, feel things humans can't, so maybe they felt the evil spirits that were in the house. That's the only reason I can come up with why the dogs picked up anything in the basement. So here we hear a theme. It's a theme of evil, of possession, of energy lingering in the house or within Chris Watts himself that took over.
Yesterday when you were talking, and again, this is before we kind of got to this moment today, you mentioned that we were talking, you said, I don't know where they are, and then you said something along the lines of, whatever happened to him was act of pure evil. What does that mean?
It's the evil that I saw when I walked behind Shanann and she was on top of CC. And then I felt evil for what I did to Shanann.
Okay.
Like at the end of the conversation, it's just like, that's what happened. Mm-hmm. I just wish I could have let go.
Did it seem like it was that long? 2 to 4 minutes? How long did it seem for you?
It almost kind of felt like it was longer almost, because it felt like time was standing still. It's kind of like I just saw my life just disappearing before my eyes, but I couldn't let it go. It was like somebody else, like if you picture somebody else around you, holding your hands, holding you, keep you from not letting
You are
go.
seeing actual drive from Chris Watts' house to Survey 319.
Oh, you're gonna have a little brother or sister? Yeah, you think so? Fuck. July, baby?
Good girl, Bella. You're so sweet.
Give her a kiss, Bella? Give her a kiss?
Daddy home.
Daddy home?
No.
No.
Yeah? Let's do it. A little hair. Ready? Set?
Cece. What's
Cece,
Daddy
I
doing?
am so sorry.
Well, guys, there's absolutely no doubt that something horribly evil happened in that house. And the reason I think that something horribly evil happened in that basement, well, there's actually several reasons. So I'm going to put them all together for you. And I have a very concrete theory on this one. I think I know exactly what happened in the basement, or at least one of the horrible events that happened in the basement of the Watts house. Okay, so now I'm moving forward. Hey, Pink, it's great to see you. Because we already did the dog hits here. Give me just 1 second.
What's that? I don't
We
think it
already
worked out that morning.
went over Chris talking about why he went in the basement was bullshit. That and just kind of stumbling around his words and it's my analysis of it. Okay. And then, okay, so now we're going to another of Chris's letters to Cheryl and Cadel. And this is going to perhaps account for why the trauma dog Cody did a hard hit in Bella's room and also why he went nuts in the basement, and Jeff's dog Scout showed interest in the basement, who's a cadaver dog.
August 13th, the morning of. I went to the girls' room first, before Shanann and I had our argument. I went to Bella's room, then Cece's room, and used a pillow from their bed. That's why the cause of death was smothering. After I left Cece's room, I then climbed back into bed with Shanann, and our argument ensued. After Shanann had passed, Bella and Cece woke back up. I'm not sure how they woke back up, but they did. It makes the act that much worse knowing I went to their rooms first. And
now I've got to say, I do believe this part of what he's saying here to Cheryl and Cadel, although he's obviously a proven liar and the bastard deserves to spend his life in prison and hell all for eternity. Because he says, you know, he tried to kill them in their beds and then they woke back up. Well, here's an interesting thing. There's very few things that come out of Chris Watts' mouth that are consistent in each of his so-called confessions, and then also in what he says to other people after. But in his interrogation at Frederick, Colorado, he explains to Graham Coder and Tammy Lee. They ask him why something. I don't remember what it is. I could find it. It's not going to be tonight, though, because that's like a 7-hour interrogation video. And he says, well, because they woke back up. They woke back up. And then he says specifically, Cece woke back up. Also, in his interview from Dodge Correctional Facility on 2 different occasions, he says, well, the girls woke back up. And none of these dumb fucking investigators, I don't think they're dumb, but 4 times he says the girls woke back up and nobody's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? They woke back up. Well, I think he's explaining it here in this letter. Knowing I still took their lives at the oil field. That is such a hard story to take in, isn't it? I can remember the first time I heard that story, and I can remember just the absolute horror that resonated through me just thinking about, my gosh, he killed his children twice. However, that story doesn't account for a couple of things. It does not account for Jane's dog Cody hitting so strongly, so intensely, she said, in the basement. And it also does not account for the very strange story that he told the investigators when they went to Dodge Correctional Facility about the very end moments of the girls' lives on the way to Survey 319 and at Survey 319. So I just want to listen to a very short portion of Chris Watts' confession from Dodge Correctional Facility in February of 2019 when the investigators went up to visit him. So there are kind of 2 parts to his confession about. Hold up. So just so it's going to make a little bit more sense before we go on to that. So we just heard what Chris Watts said to Cheryl and Cadel through his letter. It's fucking horrible. That he tried to kill Bella and Celeste by taking a pillow in each of their rooms and murdering them. And he says, and that's why the autopsies had the cause of death is suffocation, which, I mean, I don't know what he's talking about there, Mr.
I proclaim to have a 140 IQ. Yeah, right. And I do believe that to be true for the reasons that I just said. So why might, and this is really like upsetting, guys, but this is what to me it just seems like must have happened. So, oh, darn. I forgot to get something ready for you. We're just going to take a brief little intermission here because I do need to go grab a drink and there's something. Oh my God. Oh crap. I thought I just closed you guys. I need to get a drink and I need to get my brain together for a second because I just thought I think I just had a delusion. Give me 90 seconds here, okay? And I also have to get that other little piece of info for you. Coming right back. Thanks for being here.
And so the court is going to accept this plea bargain under the circumstances. Words that come to mind when I hear the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime. And equally aggravating is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case. I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen.
Second as well. How far along? 14, 15.
You're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family, and I didn't know. Like, I
Get a divorce. You don't annihilate your family and throw them away like garbage.
Well, one thing led to another, and 8 years later, we have 2 kids. We live in Colorado, and he's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
It just doesn't add up. So either you're this monster, I just want this young, hot girlfriend, so I'm going to kill everyone and hope it works out, or something.
We're excited, and Cece's on week 2 of potty training. Do you have any accidents today? No accidents today at school. No accidents this weekend. She's had 2 accidents in 2 weeks, which is incredible. A lot of, yes, baby. She can, but after mommy, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
Say thank you for being
you.
the compliments.
Thank you to compliment.
All right, guys. Have a great day, and we're going to go celebrate our excitement over here. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
I didn't know. Like, I
Stop asking about it. She didn't have anything to do with it. She wasn't there that morning. She voluntarily cooperated with law enforcement. She provided us all the information. I'm not going to tell you where she's at. Stop. Leave me alone.
And so the court is going to accept this plea bargain under the circumstances. Words that come to mind when I hear the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime. And equally aggravating is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All right. I had to start to play that again because I went and got a drink. My fingers were wet. Wasn't working on my mouse. All kinds of things going on here. Okay. So we're back to the topic of why did the trauma dog, hit in Bella's room? So remember, Jane and Officer Lyons were like, oh, yeah, it was probably the book under the bed. It was this book here. This is a picture from Shanann's Facebook. It was Bella's favorite book. And I think the reason that book was under the bed was I think poor Bella probably kept that book under the bed. It was her favorite book because remember, those girls slept a lot, okay? They were in those dark, scary, like dark, loud rooms a lot, and Shanann didn't allow them to At some point, when Cece was born, she no longer allowed Bella to have books or toys in her room. Cece either. They could bring in their favorite stuffed animal. I think Cece had a turtle and Bella had a monkey, but only while like they were playing, not when they were sleeping. So I think that Bella stashed probably her favorite book under her bed so she would have something to do and she'd have some comfort when she couldn't sleep. And remember, we looked at this, put Bella to bed. She wanted to read one more book. She grabbed the book off her bookshelf and sat in her chair in the dark and started flipping the pages. Bookworm, #lover, #bookworm. And that's not normal. So that's what I think she did anyway. And we don't have to talk about that. So I don't think the dog was hitting on the book. Now, two things. From the discovery, on August 12th, while Shanann is in Arizona, that night, she sends Chris Watts, so this is Sunday, hours before the murders, a message saying, hey, honey, and this is at 1946, so 7:46 p.m. Hey, honey, kids in bed? She asked for pictures. Watts replied, Bella just back in bed. Shanann noted they must be exhausted. She wants them to be exhausted. So Bella just went back to bed. So it sounds like they went to bed. Cece stayed in bed. Bella got up because she wasn't tired. I'm trying to establish that this seems to be what happens from a lot of things that we hear the family say and everything that we know about them, that Cece just goes to bed. She's out. She wants her yucky. She goes to bed. And Bella's a little more restless. She's getting older. She doesn't need to sleep that much. So she'll get up. She'll get out of bed. She'll want to hang out. And then she'll go back to bed. So just the night before the murders, it seems like that's what happened. And then also 2 nights before the murders, when the babysitter was there, it's a similar pattern. And I'm getting to a point here. Don't y'all worry, but you should know that. Have faith. So this is from the babysitter who was there 2 nights before the murders.
Does it have any markings on it?
No.
So the girls are 3 and 4, but they talk with you a lot?
Yes, they're very talkative.
They're very talkative?
Yes.
Okay. So did they tell you anything that was happening? Was there anything that was concerning that you heard?
Bella she sat by me and she was really concerned. Her little sister fell asleep before her, so she sat on the couch with me for a while, and she actually told me something. She said, can I ask you something? And I was like, yeah. She was like, my little sister has, like, she told me if she eats coconut, she'll never be able to see her again. So I'm guessing that the littlest one has a severe allergy, and that's what they told her, that if she eats that, she'll never be able to see her again. And she was really upset by that.
Bella was?
Yeah.
And so if Cece ate coconut, she would potentially
Yeah,
die.
I know she has a tree nut allergy, but I never heard coconut. So I wonder if they just, I don't know if she got
So
coconut.
Cece has a tree nut allergy?
Yeah, like a severe one.
Okay. So you watch the children. He leaves about, you get there at 4:30. What time do you think he leaves?
Probably 4:45 after we.
Okay, so now I have some serious feelings on all of that was just said, but we're not going to launch into that right now. But I'm just going to say how sad that Bella was under the impression that if her sister ate some of the wrong food, she was going to die. And that's all I'm going to say. But anyway, what I was trying to show you there is that the night before the murders and 2 nights before the murders, we have, Cece going to bed, going down just fine, and Bella being up. The babysitter saying, Bella was still up, and she was concerned. And not only was she up, not going to bed at the desired bedtime, but she had a lot on her mind. So when Chris Watts tells us through his letters to Cheryl and Cadel that, and I believe it because, as I said, in his 2 interviews, he says the girls woke back up, or one time he just says Cece woke back up, a total of 4 times. This is one of the facts he's actually most consistent about. I think it would make sense, and this is really hard, but all of the evidence to me is pointing to this has to be the case. The trauma dog hit there. He tried to murder the girls in bed. I think he had some success with Cece to some degree and not with Bella. I think Cece was sleeping. It was easy. I don't think she ever fully came back from that. And I think maybe Chris went into Bella's room to do that to her. My God, as if we need to know that she experienced anything else that was horrific in this lifetime, her little tiny, precious lifetime. And I think that, he went to do what he was going to do. And she woke up. She wasn't a sound sleeper just going to bed. She wasn't tired enough, not only in the 2 days before the murders, but in a very documented history of Shanann and Chris telling us all about their life on social media. We know this to be true. So to me, it makes sense that the one place upstairs where the trauma dog hit was Bella's room. It wasn't that fucking book. It was Bella's trauma. Jane, it's a trauma dog. And the trauma dog just showed interest, but not a hard hit in Shanann's room. Because when the coward Chris Watts murdered his wife, of course she was asleep. Because he's a pussy-ass bitch. I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense. Let me know what you guys think about that.
About what happened to the girls before they broke for lunch, and he gave you a certain set of details, and then after they returned from lunch and pressed for more details. So this is just kind of what he had to say about Bella and Cece each in short, in that period of time when he spoke before lunch.
So what happened next?
Bella came in.
Is that what happened? Bella came in. What she said?
Oh, why?
Did she hear something? Is that what she did?
Obviously, I think.
Okay.
Cece was.
Oh, and I'm sorry, and this is really important. I'm sorry to interrupt that. The other important thing, and Imagine said it too in the chat. Oh, I didn't start. I'm sorry. Was that the other possibility of why the trauma dog hit in Bella's room was what I just described, which is horrible, or Bella knew something horrible was going on with her parents. She heard what was happening, and at some point she went in her room to hide. And the story that Chris Watts is telling right here really supports that.
First. She did have a blanket. She had a blue
Let me
blanket.
go back just a little tiny bit.
She said.
Short, in that period of time when he spoke before lunch.
So what happened next?
Bella came in.
Is that what happened? Bella came in. What she said?
Oh, why?
Did she hear something? Is that what she did?
Obviously, I think.
Okay.
Cece was first. She did have a blanket. She had a blue blanket.
So was she alive when she went into the oil tank? No.
I put the blanket over her head.
And that's how she passed. Good brief.
I'm sorry. Now it's going into the horrific details of what happened at the oil field, which I wasn't meaning to put you through again. The important part of that was that Bella came into the room and knew what was going on between Shanann and Chris.
She'd off the bed and she walked in.
Oh, there it is.
And she had her.
That before you left?
Yeah, I was just getting the sheet off the bed and.
Oh, here.
A whole lot. Okay, go ahead and listen.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is a little segmented where I'm trying to talk about the part that's relevant to what we're discussing now. I'm on course though. Here we are.
So with the girls, talked about how they got into the truck with you and were alive. Okay. Are you 100% sure that's true? Okay.
Can we ask? Go back just a second. You talked about before that Bella walked in though to the bedroom. Can you tell us about that before you left?
Yeah, I was just getting the sheet off the bed, and she had walked in, and she had her little pink blanket with her. She's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong, mommy?"
And where was Shanann at that point?
Yeah, just pretty much on the bed, but she was face down.
Wrapped in the sheet. What'd you say?
It's like, she didn't feel good. That's when I tried to carry her downstairs.
Shanann?
Did you carry her like this? Did you drag her? How did you do it?
Tempted to pick her up and take her down, but I lost grip after a little while. I decided to.
Did Bella see you do that? What was Bella saying?
She started crying a little bit. She's like, "What's wrong, Mom?"
And what'd you say that time?
It's just feel good.
Okay, so right there's another time where Chris is taking Shanann, Bella's mother, down the stairs, wrapped up in a sheet. Imagine how he must have been struggling with getting her dead body down the stairs in front of his daughter or daughters. Bella is watching and asks, "What's wrong with mommy?" I mean, that dog really should have smelled trauma all over the place, but I imagine she could have been scared and ran back in her room, right? And now OBC, I know, says that I just Googled what trauma support dogs are, or what trauma dogs are, and they're dogs that comfort people. So, and what I have to tell you is I have a trauma support dog at work, and what you're looking up, Google's a little bit wrong. What you're talking about, the dogs that comfort people, are trauma support dogs. Jane's dog is like a trauma search and rescue dog. So different. You guys are all getting on me about not knowing my doggy facts in chat here, but trust me, I've done my research. Don't you worry.
She's a smart girl. She know what's on there.
Mm-hmm. Did she ever touch Shanann? Try to wake her up or anything? No.
She didn't want to see her or ask to see her or anything. And so that initial time, did she see you put Shanann in the truck? So she was kind of following you? Okay. So she followed you and you put Shanann in the truck. Yeah. And then what?
I got Cece wasn't up yet. Right? She was just in her room. She was getting ready to get out of her bed. And then they were just walking around the house.
Yeah, so you notice, and Chris Watts has all of these details about what Bella did, very specific details that indicate to us when we're listening to what a person says that they're likely telling the truth, because they're specific details. They just, it's a pattern of a truthful statement. But they ask, what about Cece? He says, Cece wasn't up yet. Cece was still in her bed. Cece was getting ready to get out of her bed. I don't know about that. I don't think Cece could get out of her bed. I think that's what was going on. And I think Bella endured all of this alone.
I was put my lunchbox and stuff in the truck, and then grab the kids and put them in the bench sheet in the back.
Okay. So Shanann, is she kind of on the floor in the back? And they're just on the bench. Okay. And both alive at that point. Okay. Is there any reason you would feel uncomfortable to tell me that they? It's hard to see. Okay. And I believe you. I'm just I'm trying to make sure that I'm giving you all the opportunities to be comfortable enough to tell me exactly. Okay.
They were alive.
Okay.
Trust me, I hear that every day when Bella was talking to me on the site.
Oh, really? What do you mean?
When she said, "Daddy, no." When we were driving to the site, she said, "Daddy, it smells."
Oh, okay. So that goes back to maybe Shanann evacuating herself?
I don't know if it was that. They know that smell like a skunk maybe sometimes.
Oh, okay.
So I got some kind of smell that way, but I don't know what that was from.
And was that maybe outside the truck or is that in?
I don't know.
Okay. What did you guys talk about on the way out?
They were pretty quiet. They, laid next to each other.
Okay.
Maybe Bella in her lap and Casey in her lap, just back and forth.
Oh, okay. Just trading off like little ones do. Okay. Were they awake?
I think one would kind of fall asleep. Casey would really kind of trade off back and forth.
Were they talking to you?
Just about, just saying, Daddy, it smells.
Oh, okay.
It was early in the morning. They were showing up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you have to? So you didn't have to wake CC up?
There was the noise from trying to get Shanann downstairs.
Did she kind of fall down the stairs?
No, it was more like trying.
Wait, so Tammy Lee asks, wait, so you didn't have to get CC up? They don't ever follow up on anything. But wait, what did he say there? I don't know if I've ever heard that answer before.
They talking to you?
Just about, just saying, Daddy, it smells.
Oh, okay.
They're like.
Wait, here. Listen, try to decipher what he says. Let me turn on.
Okay.
Did you have to? So you didn't have to wake CC up?
There was the noise from trying to get Shanann downstairs.
Oh yeah. So he says so you didn't have to wake CC up, and he said, and I never heard what his response was there before. There's so much in this interview, and he mumbles. He says, yeah, it was the noise from trying to get Shanann down the stairs. He doesn't know what he's fucking talking about because CC never woke back up.
Did she kind of fall down the stairs?
No, it was more like trying to get her down and from the steps, maybe her foot, the next step kind of thing.
Oh.
They're like.
You mentioned Bella was first. Cece is first. Okay. Where exactly was she when it happened?
In the back seat.
Okay. Was she just right next to Bella?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So once again, was it a hand over her face?
So again, what was Cece doing? She was in the back seat. Was she next to Bella? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just as clear as day.
It was a blanket over my hand.
And then your hand. Okay. And then so that just stopped her from breathing type thing? Okay. Did she struggle at all?
I don't think so, but I was blocking her face and my hand was right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had one hand here and one hand over her mouth?
And we're just pushing her against the back of the seat type thing? Okay. What was Bella doing?
Sitting there next to her. She didn't know what was going on.
Okay. Could she see you? Okay. And then did that take a minute or two?
Nothing. I didn't have no concept at the time.
In addition to the lack of details about Cece, I want you to notice here about when Graham Coder asks him about did it take a while, he says he didn't have any concept of time. Now let's listen to what he says about Bella.
And then once she's gone, then is it Bella next, or did you pull Cece out?
I pulled Cece out.
Okay, so once Cece's gone, Bella's still there in the car alive, and then you pulled Cece out. What'd you do with her? Okay. So she went into the tank, and Bella was still in the back of the truck alive. With regard to that tank, did you bring up Cece, put her down, open the hatch?
Brought her up, opened the hatch.
And put her in. Okay. When we talked the very first time we met, when we were talking about this, it was a matter of just lowering her down. Okay. And so she went in feet first. Okay. Was she able to fit pretty well? Was it snug?
I think so.
Okay. Did you have to move her around a little bit and get her in there?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
No, I didn't have to hit her
okay,
like that.
It's not like you stomped her in.
No.
Okay. And then close the hatch.
Yes.
Okay. And then went down to Bella. Tell me what happened there.
She said what happened to Cece. Or she asked It's the same thing, the exact same thing that happened to me as CC.
Did she ask you that? Okay. So Bella's pretty smart. How did she sound when she asked you that, Chris?
So that soft voice she always had.
What exactly did she say?
Said that it's the same thing that happened to me as CC. And then I said, I don't even remember what I said. I don't know what I said, but
You know, and who fucking cares what you said at this point, Chris Watts? I mean, you fucking killed your daughters. What you did to Bella is, I mean, anyway, to the point. Notice that of all these questions they're now asking about Cece and Bella and their experience and what do they do? What do they say? How do they react? Tell me. Because remember, before this interview, they thought that all three of his family members, and then of course Nico and Shanann's belly, were murdered at the house. So now they have an impetus to actually answer questions because of their own innate personal curiosity, not for investigation efficacy reasons, which is kind of crazy. But notice in his responses that from the house, when Bella walks into the bedroom all the way to Survey 319, of all these questions, Bella is the only one who he quotes as saying anything. According to him, Cece never said a word. How many of you believe that?
I just said yes, like a horrible person, or if I just put that blanket over her too and did the same thing.
Same blanket, same.
Shoot. And the point was, Cece, if Cece were alive, she would have been talking. That's all she ever did. Talk, move, run, scream. Cece wasn't alive.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She said no, Daddy. And that's the nice thing she said.
Did she say no, Daddy, like, please no, Daddy type thing? Did she say, okay, don't do it?
She said no, Daddy.
Okay. Same way, hand on neck, hand over mouth, or hand over blanket with the over mouth. Okay. Did that take a couple minutes?
Now here, when Graham Coder asked him the same question, did it take a couple minutes? He says, it felt like it. He answers far more questions in response to what happened to Bella on the ride to Survey 319 and at Survey 319 as compared to Cece. If you've noticed as well, during this entire story, Bella is the only one who he says said anything. She came into the room. She asked if mommy was okay. She said, Daddy, it smells when she was in the truck. She asked if he was going to do the same thing to her as he did to Cece. And he doesn't mention that Cece said anything that entire time. Now, we all know that Cece was a bundle of energy and Bella was rather quiet. So this is kind of interesting, right? We also listened to a part where Tammy Lee asked him, well, what about Cece? And he said, oh, she was still in her room. She was just waking up. I don't know, man. Cece seemed to, wake up and jump right into life. It seems to me that the investigators had an idea that perhaps Cece was not actually alive on the ride to Survey 319, and then obviously, certainly not while he was at Survey 319.
Can you tell us about, obviously, when the district attorney got up and talked about Bella's injuries and stuff?
I didn't want to hear about that.
Right. Can you tell us about that?
As far as like her biting her tongue?
And ripping her frenulum, which is that connective skin from your lip to your gum, it was gone. Her gums had it looked like a hole in them and the pathologist said it was from her obviously struggling to get away.
I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
Could it be that that's what happened?
So I didn't put my hand over her like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, it would have been just downward pressure on this area.
I didn't see any of that one. Get back up. It was like her lip was missing or something?
No, see this skin that connects there? That was ripped. It was gone. So it kind of made like a hole in her gum.
I'm just thinking maybe it's like if her hand was not her head was like twisting back and forth. Could that have done that?
Yeah.
I had a blanket. I don't know. Like
Did you feel her doing that thrashing? They were trying to get away.
I felt her head moving back and forth.
You did.
But I didn't know that.
Could you tell if she was trying to yell or say anything or?
Only thing was Daddy no, and then like some a grunt here and there, and like trying to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
My God, obviously that is absolutely so horrific. I personally believe that the only reason that Bella suffered those injuries and Cece had none is because Bella was alive. Oh God. On the ride to Survey 319 and at Survey 319, and her life did end very close to the way that Chris Watts disgustingly describes it here. And I also believe that Cece did not have any injuries because she was not alive at Survey 319 or on the ride to Survey 319. I believe she passed at the house. It doesn't make any sense with Cece, with all of her energy and personality and life, that she wouldn't fight back in a fight for her life, that she wouldn't be saying things all the way in the truck ride from Saratoga Trail to Survey 319. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, let's take a look at some of the body cam footage when Chris Watts arrived back at his house after Nicole Atkinson had called him. He had been out at the oil fields, and remember, he took such a long time to come back. They were starting to think about kicking in the door, and Officer Coonrod, Nicole Atkinson, and her children were there to greet him. Remember, instead of letting them all in through the front door, he goes through the garage door, ducks to pick up something in the car, and then goes into the house. It's over a minute later when he actually opens the front door and lets them in. So let's look at exactly what it is he does right after he allowed them to come in the house, rather than to going around the house looking for his wife and children, which obviously we know he wouldn't do because he knew they were gone. Look at where he goes specifically.
Okay, I just wanted to pause for a second. Let's see. And thank you for the Jules Tiger. You're so sweet. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. I love that you're here in chat. And thank you, Robin Lee, so much for the $20 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. NK's own words testify against her, and she's involved. I'd love to see more info on her and her father. Love your channel. Well, guess what, Robin Lee? I did a video about her father, I don't know, a couple years ago. I'm going to find it, and I will link it in chat by the end of this live stream. So you can go check that out later on, or if you're tired, tomorrow. And, anything we find out, don't worry, you will be the first to know about it. I want to know all about the Kessinger family. They are very difficult to find information on these days, though.
Nikki, I'll give you permission to walk in my daughter's house.
Mind if I come in, Chris? Okay.
You checked upstairs? She's not there. I just want to make sure she's not passed out somewhere. Is she diabetic? You mind if I look around? Go ahead. Okay, thanks. Oh, you're fine. Oh, you're fine.
So we see that he goes right downstairs in the basement to let Dieter presumably out of his cage. Now, this is a little strange to me because when the investigators asked him, what did you do? Why were you going down in the basement? Why didn't he tell them that, and I had to put Dieter in the cage before I left to work for the day? I mean, could that be because, he's thinking, oh man, if I went to work, but Shanann and the girls were still home, Dieter wouldn't be put in his cage? But then you think, well, why would he mind telling them at that point when he's already in prison because they know that he killed his family? So why wouldn't he just say, yeah, well, when I was down in the basement, one of the things I did, because I knew no one would be home, I put Dieter in the cage. That would have satisfied them partially, accounted for some of his time running around on the first floor and going down into the basement. But he didn't tell them that. And the second he walked into the house there with Officer Coonrod there, he goes down in the basement to let Dieter out. Well, maybe it would have made sense to keep Dieter in his cage since he'd been in his cage a whole lot while the family was away in North Carolina. But I wonder if he went downstairs into the basement to check to see if everything that he should have cleaned up down there or put away down there was in fact put away. A quick check while he's going down there to let Dieter out of the cage. Now, why would I think that? Again, really quickly to what it was Dave Baumhover and Tammy Lee said about the activity in the house and in the basement around that time when they were asking if he went into the basement.
What other things did you do that maybe we even missed?
Shut the phone and watch. Yeah. I think I threw the therapy book she wanted me to read in the trash.
That was that morning.
I think so.
Were you trying to make it look like she threw it in the trash?
I don't know. I just didn't think nothing was going to work again. So I didn't know what was going on.
Did you go down to the basement? I thought the basement door opened.
Yeah, the door is open, but yeah. So there was a lot of movement. I think it was around 4:26 or something. From the garage door opening, the basement door opening, and then of course the living room sensors and all. Do you remember what you were doing all during that time?
You had a lot of steps. I'll just say that.
So like the basement, I'm not sure. I mean, the only thing I really have down there is my workout. The bench press.
Do you remember going down there for anything or opening that door for anything? Did you think about, well, maybe I'll take her out that way, or is it a walkout basement?
No.
It wasn't at your house. Okay.
No, it's like a garden level basement. So.
Okay.
But no, I don't know. Really, what's that? I don't think it worked out that morning.
It's like, were you packing your lunch in the kitchen? Like, did you have to do all that normal stuff? Okay.
I packed lunch and everything. Did all that, but I don't remember about the basement. Unless I just worked out that morning, I just don't remember. I don't think it did.
So one of the more.
Unless there was a trash bag down there at that time.
Yeah, you got trash bags from there.
Maybe there wasn't any in the garage, and I went down there and got one.
Do you normally carry a roll of trash bags in your truck?
No.
So there was a roll in the truck.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I just grabbed it and brought it with me then.
So in the letter from Christopher Watts to Shanann Cato that we read that was from her book earlier in this video, he expands on the confession that he gave the investigators when they visited him in prison in February of 2019. But guys, there is yet another story. Now, this story was told to Shanann Cato. Shanann Cato told this story, and some people did not believe her. But I do know this story was told from Chris Watts to at least 3 other people. And this story, I think I'm about to disclose all the details of it. I honestly don't remember. If not, I'll just tell it to you live. Based on what we saw, we're not going to get to the 5th thing that the dog hit on. I thought we were, but we'll do that another time because that would take another hour. Well, half an hour at least. Based on what we just saw, the evidence that was collected from those dogs, and both of them are proven dogs, and we didn't get to that part yet, but I have looked into both dogs. Other people looked into both dogs. There's information about them in the discovery. Oh, I have to read that to you. They're proven dogs. They're accurate. They're reliable. The results are replicable. All the things that are, good indicators of a scientific method approach to determining something in an investigation, whether it's a science experiment or a crime investigation. So what Shanann tells us, Chris Watts told her, does
completely corroborate with all that evidence from these reliable, accurate dogs.
One of those people I spoke with about 2 years ago. Now, why haven't I talked about it until now? When I talked to this person about the story that I'm going to tell you, and maybe you've heard it before, I just wasn't ready to talk about anything so horrific on my channel, and I didn't know if I ever would. Now, I don't have permission from this person at this point to disclose their name, but I have asked for that permission. And if they get back to me soon, I will, or at any time, I'll do a live stream so we can talk about it. And I actually would love to have them on. This person is close to the Watts family. So the story goes like this. Why did the dog Cody hit in the basement near the refrigerator? Well, according to Sherilyn Cadle and the person I spoke with, Chris Watts believes it is because when he did, yes, try to kill both of his beautiful girls while they were at home at 2825 Saratoga Trail, he did believe he was successful. He panicked and he wasn't sure what he was going to do with them. He took Cece first down into the basement. He tried to put Cece in the refrigerator and she did not fit. I guess at that point, he was thinking that he would come back for the family later. He knew that he had to be at work. He had made a commitment to do something early that morning at Survey 319, and he just was not sure what he was going to do with the girls. Cece would not fit in that refrigerator, so he put her in a large plastic tote near the refrigerator and was going to apparently leave her there for the day while he was at work. Now, the story that he told about the girls waking up seems to be very true about Bella. Apparently, according to him, what he told these three people plus Sherilyn Cadle, Isabella did wake up and she was fine, other than the fact that she was obviously horrified. Apparently, she had some marks and bruising on her face, but other than that, that sweet little angel was talking, as Chris Watts talked about, to several people, including the investigators at the prison, and she was walking about the house. Apparently, according to this story that he told Sherilyn Cadle and three other people, little Cece did, in fact, wake back up as far as regaining consciousness. However, after that, she never talked again. Now, when we look at Chris Watts' health data from the app on his phone, we can see that this is supporting the story that he is telling. And he said that all this was...
Yeah, so just let me recap that story. So the story that Sherilyn told a number of people, she said Chris Watts had told her. And then, as I said, I did speak with somebody else who has some insider knowledge about this story that Sherilyn Cadle told that's a little different and actually more reliable. But again, I don't have permission from that person to tell the story. And you know what? Since I recorded the video that I'm playing right now, I've meant to ask that person a million times, but I haven't. I'm going to try to do that next week. But the story is that, yes, he did try to kill both girls while they were in their bedrooms. Bella woke back up and, you know, he roughly described how she was and what she was saying and doing, you know, for the rest of that morning, of course, sugarcoating it. So he doesn't sound like the demonic Satan spawn that he actually is. But Cece did not wake back up. So he put her in a tote, took her down into the basement, and she was there for a period of time. And that is why the dogs hit so hard down in the basement. Horrible, I know, but I tend to think that that is true. The evidence corroborates it. Also, you know, the investigators know something happened in that basement. When he's asked about him, he gives a total bullshit story. Like I said, the garage is lined with different types of trash bags, totally lined with it. I didn't see any down the basement. Not that I would. It was mostly Christmas decorations, medication, and Thrive shit, and exercise equipment. But when I see y'all talk and chat about MLMs and Shanann, my favorite video I ever made, I just linked it in the description of this live that you're watching now. It seems like you're hungry for that content. A lot of people want to watch the video lately. Go check it out and you'll get your Shanann and MLM fix. But they know something happened in the basement. So now we're looking at the steps and the steps taken and the flights climbed, the data from Chris Watts' phones, and it's going to show that he was up and down from the main floor to the basement.
Cece did happen right around 4:30 a.m.
Let me go back. Okay.
Now, when we look at Chris Watts' health data from the app on his phone, we can see that this is supporting the story that he is telling. And he said that all this with Cece did happen right around 4:30 a.m., that same time that investigators were asking him about when they went to visit him at Dodge. We can see that right around 4:30 a.m., he took a whopping 1,500 steps in the house, apparently, and he also clocked 0.6 plus miles. 0.6 plus miles, that's over half a mile. That is a lot of steps and a lot of distance to cover while you're just walking around in your house. It seemed that, at that hour, right around 4:30 a.m., something went very wrong according to the plan that he had or was making up as he went along, and he had to scurry around his house to try to get things back in order, so to speak. Now, why is this horrible hardware information important? It's important because it gives us an idea of what really did or did not happen in that house and on that horrific morning. And another question is this the only thing that we know about what happened in that basement or in that house that has not yet been discovered officially, but those who have information behind the scenes, who have been following this case and doing their own research, might have? I think that there is more that we actually know about what happened in that basement and in that house on that horrible morning of August 13th and even the night before, the evening of August 12th. And we will be talking about that in the next video on this topic. I'm sorry this was so hard to hear, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. Please click like and subscribe. And may Shanann, Celeste, Bella, and Nico rest in eternal peace.
Those poor sweet little angels. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So Alyssa's here now. Yes, he did exercise that morning. He ran up and down those steps in the house, 4 a.m. That's right. I mean, he covered an incredible amount of distance. I don't know if I went over I was reading your chats when I was just playing that. He went over an amazing amount of distance and climbed a lot of flights at that hour. I mean, you'd have to literally be running around like a crazy person. These are a little off topic, but you wouldn't necessarily know if somebody had lupus or not from an autopsy. Now, I myself have lupus. I was diagnosed a little over 5 years ago. I have some definite thoughts on that, but I can tell you, not because I have lupus, it's not the reason I know it, but when people were asking about that, with this channel, I did look to a number of experts. We're talking medical examiners, doctors. Would lupus be discovered in an autopsy? And the answer was what I thought it was, I guess, from having lupus. I know that, if my blood gets tested when I'm having a flare-up, the indicators of lupus will be readily present. If I'm not having a flare-up, they won't. Now, if they did those deeper blood tests, that battery of blood tests I'd go through for a year and a half before I got diagnosed, would they still find the lupus even if I wasn't having a flare-up? I think so, but I don't even know the answer to that question, to be honest. But an autopsy wouldn't necessarily find any indicators of lupus. It's a blood test. In order to diagnose lupus, it's a differential diagnosis. You need to go through, like I just said, a number of different blood tests over a period of time, a number of blood tests testing a range of different levels and things in your blood composition. An autopsy is simply not going to do that. It doesn't do the proper tests even to diagnose lupus. So a person could have lupus, and it's not going to have a mention of it in their autopsy unless, something having to do with lupus was a contributor to the death. Then there might be reason for that. But Frank was not with her when she was diagnosed. I've listened to that interview a lot of times. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a know-it-all, but Frank wasn't the type of dad that went to appointments with Shanann. In fact, Shanann and Sandy both talked about when Shanann did get diagnosed, she was going to doctors. Nobody was with her. She did go by herself. So I'm going to get off that topic now because we can definitely rabbit hole this and get way off track. But I don't know why I just felt like I needed to. When lupus gets brought up, I just feel like lupus is sensitive to me because I have it and it's like horrible. Although I'm lucky, I am able to manage it much better than most people, I guess. Or it's not as bad for me, I guess, or hopefully it doesn't get there. But for me, for every person, it's different. It will attack different parts of your body. And for me, it's my skin and my kidneys, a little bit my joints. Not even so much to my skin, mostly my kidneys, a little bit my skin and joints. But like before I got diagnosed, I was getting horrible kidney infections. It would give me fevers of literally over 105, sustained fevers as an adult. I don't know if Pink is still here. Cuff you as a nurse, you know how horrible that is for an adult. I mean, for like a day or more. I'd have to get hospitalized for the kidney infection. It's the only reason I've ever been hospitalized other than when I, gave birth. And also I started getting kidney stones. I was like in my late 30s and like really healthy, a vegetarian. It was so weird. And that's how I figured it out, but it's different for everybody. So, yeah. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, we do have a lot of information here. People in the chat, you're very smart and very well researched with this case, and you guys do contribute so much. And well, the channel is called Watts the Obsession. If I didn't have a lot to bring to you about the case, it was accurate and, correct and proven and interesting and sort of forward moving, hopefully I wouldn't have the channel anymore, because why? So, but thank you. I really appreciate that. There are pictures of Shanann wearing the patches during the pregnancy. I think at some point she stopped, but there are pictures. And again, having lupus, I tried the whole Thrive regimen just because I wanted to see what it did to me. So I had the duo burn patches, just like Chris wore, and you wear 2 of them because it's duo burn, two patches, one on each side of your body. It's just a gimmick. And then I did the shakes and the daily like pills or whatever they are. And then I tried a couple of their like, boutique products, like the coffee substitute thing. I can't remember what it's called, like Alert or Awake or Focus. I don't know, but that stuff tastes horrible. I took 2 sips of it and I had to throw it out. It tastes like pure saccharin. But, so I did the duo burn patches for like a week-ish. I don't know exactly. It wasn't more than a week. And I elected to stop using them because I know some of you have heard me talk about this so much, because they gave me heart palpitations. They made me sweat. They made me sweat and like my sweat smelled like, that smell, like you're getting toxins out of your body. I just felt like it would be cold and I'd be sitting there and I'd be like sweating like I was working out really hard. It was horrible. I mean, I immediately, as soon as I started taking them, started like losing weight and appetite. And I wasn't trying to lose weight at the time. Remember, I just recently been diagnosed with lupus and I was trying to build my health, not lose weight. So anyway, I went to my rheumatologist. Luckily, I had that appointment. I just happened to tell him I was, trying this stuff. And mostly because I had just recently started the channel and I was telling him about the channel. I was really excited about it. He actually tunes in sometimes. And he was like, what are you taking? What are you taking? I told him about it. He got on the computer, started Googling, looked into it, looked into some of the ingredients. He was like, stop it all immediately. Immediately. If you have lupus or any illness like it, you cannot take this, because let me tell you what it's going to do. It's going to make your symptoms worse and probably far worse. And, it's going to kind of, there's nothing about this that's going to make you feel better. You need to stop taking it immediately. I was kind of relieved he said that, because I wanted to stick through with it, except for the duo burn patches, because I felt like I was on methamphetamine. Now, I actually never tried methamphetamine, but I imagine that's what it's like. Maybe not quite like that, but I didn't like the effects on my body. But I was sort of relieved he told me to stop taking it, because I was going to stick it out with the shakes and the pills, because, I committed to trying this Thrive regimen to see what effect it had on a person. And so I was going to follow through, but I was like, oh, good. I was told I can stop taking this shit now. That's terrific. So, and I was part of 3 MLMs in a pretty committed way for a while. So I'm not looking down Shanann for being involved, but I am way off topic now. So yeah. Oh, hey, Tiger. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cuffew says autoimmune diseases are awful. Thank you. I couldn't think of autoimmune disease. I say it all the time. I couldn't think of that at the moment. Yes. I have one as well. And yes, it's a very, very high fever for an adult. Yeah. That was so scary. Oh, anyhow. Yeah, pregnant women can drink caffeine. Yeah. Yeah. So let me just see. Let me look through. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything. And thank you guys for the jewels and I have to figure out what these jewels are. I just love them though. Again, they're just kind of fun. Thank you so much, Rebecca and Jules with jewels, Tiger. And again, Robin and Tiger. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. How long have we been? 2.5 hours. Yeah, I can't finish with the. Well, do you guys want to do like another 15 minutes to just kind of complete the stuff they missed with the dog searches? Yep. Either write yes or no in chat. You've got 1 minute to vote. Highest vote wins. Do you want to do another 15 minutes to finish the dog search? Yes or no? I'm just going to go with you. I'm going to go with what you guys want. I'm here for you. Except I got to bring it up in case you want to because I closed that window. Thanks for being here tonight, guys. That's why I love doing live streams. I don't want YouTube to start shunning me. I'm not as lucrative for them with my live streams because I do like doing them, but YouTube is funny. The analytics a creator gets behind the scenes about how your channel is doing. Like I know exactly what percent of, like my shorts versus my long form videos versus I know everything about my audience, the money it makes, the views it gets, the stats. It's insane, but it matters to YouTube too, because every creator that has a YouTube channel, if they're part of the Google partnership program, whatever it's called, which most channels are, they're making YouTube money too. Dog search. There we go. Okay. All right. I'm going to see what you guys said here. So, hey, Ballerina. Thanks for the jewels. How are you doing, my friend? Great to see you. Yes. Well, you know what? I bet the people that want to continue would say yes. And if you're like, no, probably just peace out. But that's cool. We'll do it. It's only 15 minutes. I can do it. Thank you so much, Bonnie. I appreciate it. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. The jewels just make me feel good. Lobo Medina says, in Mexico, we kiddos started drinking coffee with condensed milk when we were Bella's age. Oh, thank you. You guys are so kind. Yeah, Red Donnan NPC says, seems like there's a lot of women just like Shanann, always trying to feather her nest and take care of her kids by doing gig jobs. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what those companies promise you, though. They are so predatory. Damn. I know a lot of you have said that in chat, and y'all are exactly right. Every single one of you. Hey, Carolina, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Okay, so let me get to the right part of the dog search here, and we'll just kind of wrap that up. I'm not going to have too much to say about it because, as you can tell, I'm losing my voice very much, but let's just check it out and have a little bit to say about it. And maybe you'll have something to say about it. Oh, there's actually 6 things that are indicated because you know what? Did you guys know that one of the dogs, and it's in the discovery, I don't remember what dog it was, indicated outside of Chris Watts' work truck? Did you know that? Did you guys know that? And I'll find out what dog it is. That's a really big deal. I can't believe I almost forgot to get to that part. Okay, so off they go. Jane and Officer Leans and Scout off into the neighborhood. Oh, wait, is this it? Oh, shit.
Oh no, you guys, I don't have it queued up. Wait. You know who does a really good video on that is Michelle After Dark. She won't mind. Just give me 1 second here. I'm gonna put you on intermission mode for just a second.
And so the court is going to accept this plea bargain under the circumstances. Words that come to mind when I hear the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime. And equally aggravating is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case. I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen.
Pregnant as well. How far along? 14, 15.
You're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family, and I didn't know. Like, I
Get a divorce. You don't annihilate your family and throw them away like garbage.
Well, one thing led to another, and 8 years later, we have 2 kids. We live in Colorado, and he's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
It just doesn't add up. So either you're this monster, I just want this young, hot girlfriend, so I'm going to kill everyone and hope it works out, or something.
Okay, so I'll link this video in the description. I don't know if you guys know this. Creator, her name is Michelle After Dark. She's a psychologist. She is also in the mental health profession, and she's great. She's like one of those facts only, no bullshit person. Does a great job researching. She's from England. You'll hear the accent. It's a very specific English accent, and I highly recommend her. She covers a number of cases. She is, I'm a little picky about creators I recommend because, I really believe in facts, reduce the fluff, having like discussions that aren't just all fact bases. Of course, that's what we're doing here. We're talking about being human and human things. But, if I suspect people are a little disingenuous or they're sloppy with their fact presentation, I will not recommend them, but I absolutely recommend her. Michelle After Dark. I mean, not that I'm the god of like good or bad YouTube videos, but it's just my opinion.
He thought Shanann and the kids were going to a friend's house for a play date, but was very vague on that because this is Nate's, Steeple Rock Drive, and they did the dog search. So the dog search happened before Anna Darko was subpoenaed for the trip report and the stuff that came via those subpoenas for, the information about the truck. So you've got to remember that. This is Chris's house here. If I just move my thingy out of the way a minute. So this is Chris's house. This is Betty's. This is Nate's. Steeple Rock Drive and Clubhouse and Black Mesa Road is here. And that's the address that Google Maps takes me to. So now we're set to go to the 14th of August. I've dialed Cody down because he has quite a loud bark. So I've dialed him down, but I've increased the human voices. Not that the humans were good at all, but just so that we hear what the humans are saying.
Well, look at that. Earlier, I was saying it was nearly impossible to audio adjust the video to reduce Cody's really excited bark to make it, but Michelle did it. I told you she was good. And Cuff You, thanks for the super chat. Says, hey, Cal, which dog hit on the truck? Several of us in chat had heard nothing about it. Very interesting. I'm looking it up in the Discovery right now as you're watching this. I'm listening and losing my voice.
And we can still hear Cody, But what's happening here is he goes a little bit berserk behind this. I think it's like a portable toilet or something, perhaps for the workmen working on the site there. So that's the situation. And Cody goes a little bit nuts. He's going mad, alerting, and he goes woof woof, and then he waits a space, and then he goes woof woof again, and then he leaves a space, and then he goes woof woof again. And people keep telling me in my comments that no, alert dogs, tracker dogs, trail dogs, they're not trained to bark, and they're trained to sit down. No, some trail dogs, some track dogs are trained to bark, and some handlers. Then Cody's, and I would trust. So like.
So, whoops.
Outside here.
Sorry, guys. She gives great commentary, but it's just getting late enough, and this is getting long enough where I can't do the commentary right now. So, what's happening right here? But it's amazing. I'm not diminishing it. It's just late. Cody, Jane's dog, is indicating here, and then this woman, the officer with Jane right here, is.
She knows what he's doing. Jeff said the scent from the house is in there. All right, so.
Okay, so they planted the scent from the house in that outhouse there because these dogs, they want to do good at their job. They want to make their humans happy. They feel good when they get a scent and then they can find it. It's like awesome for them. They love it. So, to keep the dog encouraged, they plant scents for two reasons. To keep the dog motivated, because an unmotivated work dog isn't going to work right. And also to prove that the dog is effective and accurate, which both of the dogs that worked on this case had done a number of times. They are very trusted, one, cadaver dog, and two, trauma search and rescue dog. Hey, Pink, thanks for the jewels.
I did include that bit. So we've got Cody actually knows what scent he's out for. A scent has been planted in here. It's a game to them.
The house is over. They discovered that. Okay.
So we discovered that.
Outside here.
So I'm just pointing the map here, just to remind you where Chris spent 4 minutes. Chris spent 4 minutes here. So it will all become clear as to where we're heading, where Cody is leading us.
Yep.
Okay, so what she's talking about is Chris, in his Wisconsin interview, told investigators that he stopped at Black Mesa Road, and he told them that he dumped evidence in that dumpster. Well, the clothes he was wearing and several other things that were in his truck, possibly the girls' blankies and their toys, and who the fuck knows what else, right? It's also shown on where the Anadarko work truck tracks him. It shows he stops there for exactly 4 minutes around 2 p.m. before he went home, when Officer Coonrod and Atkinson and her son and the whole freaking circus were waiting for him.
He tries to get through. So he's still trying to into one of these dumpsters, and with this direction, he starts to focus. Just wandering along, just ignoring her dog. All right, having a nice walk. And in a bit, she'll start chatting to Officer Lines. So Officer Lines is the person who's got the body cam. So we're watching Jane and Cody via Officer Lines' body cam. Eventually found something on the wind. Investigating. Locating. Sniffing again. So every time he tries to find the direction on the wind, he gets a little bit more excited. So you can see him, he's like waving his head around. Cassie does it. You'll see Cassie, if you watch Cassie's videos, either on a YouTube channel or a TikTok, you'll see when she's trying to locate the direction of a scent, she waves her head in the air. And that's what Cody's doing.
Cassie is Michelle's dog. If you're a dog lover, and all of Michelle's videos, all of them, in the beginning, she just shows footage of her walking her dogs in the morning. They are so freaking cute. I'll watch your true crime videos sometimes just because it's like you're getting the information about the cases, but it's really relaxing to watch the cute little dogs. So if that's something you're into, definitely check out her channel.
Johnson 823, dispatch 7. With Dixon police from the prairie dogs said they do the oil.
I wish they'd just pay attention rather than talking about ticks and fleas, because Cody's very alert now. Pay attention.
Yeah. Sam, go ahead and send me that parking complaint. I'll be on to that. And you can change my zone to chief.
And you'll also notice he's still there sending, but you'll also notice that he tries, and you'll see it very, very clearly shortly, he tries to get through this fence, like this wire. He tries to get through. So he's still trying to ascertain a direction, but he's particularly interested in this area. And you'll see that very shortly. So going this direction. Nose in the air. Now look where he's looking. Look what he starts to do. He starts to focus this direction. He starts to focus over here. What he's trying to do in a moment is to get through this fence. So he keeps going back to the fence. And look, he actually stops. He keeps stopping. And he's trying to find a way through the fence. Now, Cassie, if this was Cassie, she'd have bulldozed her way through that fence. She probably would have just jumped the fence. Cody's a lot more polite. So he's trying to find a way through the fence. And Jane is completely ignoring him. If I was Jane, I'd have said, I want to walk him on the opposite side of the road. Let's get through this fence. And I want to walk him on the opposite side of the road. But no, she's just having a nice little stroll. And the dog's working. He also keeps going back to her as well. And then going back to this fence. Officer Lines, move. So she says, when he stops, I stop. But he kept stopping and looking through the fence, through this wiring. Oh, dear me. Cody's like, listen to me. Take me through the fence, please. So he stops, and then she says, go on. He keeps stopping, looking directly across. Now, I know that we've got the benefit of hindsight, haven't we? We know that Chris put his clothes or whatever into one of these dumpsters. And we know that he stopped up here, right? We're getting to the spot now because that's that other road that's across, almost directly across from the address. We're nearly there. So it's either this dumpster or maybe there's one a little bit further along. But if you look at where we are on the map, we're coming up to this road here. So we're somewhere kind of here. So the closer we get to this address where Chris stopped for 4 minutes, the more excited, alert Cody gets, and the more insistent he is to go through the fence. Would this be bad for the dog, not being reinforced? It is actually. It is actually, yes. It is bad for the dog. That he's going to feel disappointed and ignored. Whether it would affect his performance.
You know, that's such a good point. That is so bad for the dog. And I think, I don't know, to me, logically, I'm just speaking from a logical point of view, I think it could impact the dog's performance. The dogs are trained by a system of positive reinforcement. And when they hit the nail on the head and they, hit the bullseye, use whatever euphemism you'd like, and their person who they are trying to please does not praise them or even acknowledge them for a job well done, that breaks a dog's spirits. All right. Okay. I just have to go get some water and then we'll talk about the dog that hit in the work truck. And then I gotta go.
in future searches. Maybe not if that just happened the one time. But if Jane regularly ignores him, then that would eventually start to affect his confidence, his performance, and he'd get confused. He wouldn't know what he was meant to be doing, because he'd be thinking, well, they give me a scent, I find the scent, and then they just walk off and they ignore me. So it will affect his performance if this keeps being continued. Let's just hope this is a one-off and it doesn't happen every time Cody goes on a search, especially with him being a young dog. You know, it's not good for his confidence, not good for his future training.
That Google gives me. So it's either this dumpster or this dumpster, and he keeps stopping, looking, and he's now starting to alert. She tells him to go on.
If he was a pointer, he'd be pointing right now. You know, the pointers that kind of freeze. When they find the scent, they freeze and put one leg in the air. It's kind of strange to watch if you've ever watched a pointer working.
Okay, so this one most of us know about. The point is, Cody, good dog, Cody. Come here, Will, baby boy. Good dog, Cody. You did such a good job, little baby Cody. Cody, you're such a good dog. Cody, want a treat? Cody, want, like, come here, Cody. We'll love you up and give you praise. You did a good job, Cody. My God, it's just like it's really frustrating. You're killing me, Confused. That made me laugh. Where to go? If I was Cody, I would have bit Jane. He should have. Well, no, because Cody's a good dog. But it would have been good for Jane if Cody bit Jane. Yeah, they actually did write a report, Robin, on the dogs. That's what we're going to look at right now. I'm not going to read the whole thing because, my God, we're almost on 3 hours. It's like super long. And I'm tired. I'm losing my voice. I just love having live streams with you guys. I get so excited. I cover way more than I plan to, and you guys like mention something, and I start pulling up everything I have on it. We start talking about that. That's what you get here at Watts the Obsession live streams. However, if you're new to the channel, my uploaded videos are far more organized and, edited with great love and care, and always like quadruple fact checked. Not that I'm never wrong. I have been before. I will be again. And, what I'm talking about right now, I'm not wrong about because I so know this information so well. But, I make mistakes, but I only want to bring you the best is what I'm saying. All right. So let me bring this into the stream. Okay, boys, just hold on for a little bit longer. You can do it. We can do it. Oh, and if you weren't here earlier, so the Lindsay Clancy trial is officially starting on Monday with opening and not closing, 2 opening statements, one from the prosecution and one from the defense. It's been confirmed that the first witness to take the stand will be Lindsay's now confirmed to be ex-husband. People weren't sure about that because somewhat, it was in October 2024. New Yorker did an article about him, a really great piece on him. I recommend reading it. And he was asked if he was still married to Lindsay, and he said in deference to her, he would not comment. His mother then said, he understands Lindsay's no longer part of his life, but the divorce was never mentioned. But sources have confirmed now that he is divorced from Lindsay and in fact remarried, but he is standing by her side. And remember, she did take the lives of his 3 children. It's going to be an excruciating trial. I told you guys the first video I made on this case, like last week, I was in a funk for a couple days. Like I put the video out and I don't know. I was like a little concerned. I was like, I'm not sure if maybe I shouldn't cover this case. It's really getting in my head. I haven't responded that way to doing work on a case. I mean, I think I have, but I can't remember when. It was pretty intense, but it's really important case to talk about is from the perspective of a behavioral therapist, as far as raising proper awareness and compassionate awareness, but, accurate awareness about mental health in our society. And so we're going to be covering it in detail here. If you don't know the backstory and you're interested, go watch the video I uploaded last week, and you'll get the complete backstory. Back to the Watts case. And also, if you've been into the Mackenzie Shirilla shit show, I've done a lot of content on that from my perspective as behavioral therapist, including going over all of her high school mental health, behavioral, and disciplinary records, which nobody seems to be able to find out there. I don't understand why people aren't talking about it, because it's the most critical information we have about her. But I guess it's more fun to just keep playing the calls and stuff, which is fine. But that's what we do regarding that case on this channel. So go check that out too. All right. So well, let me just go back up a little bit, because, they do report on their findings, but what they're reporting is only as good as what we saw as they were actually taking the dogs around. Jane stepped outside the home. Okay. Dog tried to search around the area. All right, we'll start here. Okay. So this is going to be really brief. I'm starting way at the bottom. So they talk about what was found inside the home. I'm not going over that right now for the reasons I've already stated about tiredness and length of live stream. Once the dog was done from the inside of the home, Deputy Tack and I searched around the area with one of the dogs to try to catch a scent or trail from Bella, Celeste, or Shanann leading anywhere around the area. Deputy Tack and I walked from approximately Windham Hill Parkway to Saratoga Trail to Billings Avenue to Miners Peak Circle, from Billings Avenue to Aggregate Boulevard to Windham Hill Parkway, and then from Windham Hill Parkway back to Saratoga Trail, which was basically the map that you just saw in Michelle After Dark's little video clip. The dog did not alert for anything around that area that was searched. Exact GPS locations of what the other two dogs walked. Why did I even read that to you? Here, Chris Watts' work truck was parked just northeast in front of the house on the north side of the street facing west. One of the dogs was taken to the work truck. That was Cody. I don't know if it was Cody, actually, because it doesn't say Cody, but it was Jane who was advising, but it doesn't say Cody, so I'm not going to make that assumption because of what it says next. So I don't know what dog it was. So one of the dogs was taken to the work truck, and Jane advised the dog showed interest in the truck. And there's another part of the discovery where it describes the interest. It couldn't have been Cody, because the dog sat and stared and wouldn't leave. Jane stated the dog did not alert for any human remains inside the vehicle, but the dog caught the scent of one of the three missing parties. Command staff was advised. So because of the way the dog alerted and because of what Jane is saying there, it seems to me this must have been one of the cadaver dogs. Why it switched handlers or whatnot, I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't tell us, because again, these reports suck. All right, like just like we were saying. All right, so it says no. It says the dog did not alert for human remains, but if it was Cody, he wouldn't have alerted for human remains. So we don't know if the errors in the way the report was written or whatever. But anyway, a dog showed interest. What it does say, what it does positively state, positive meaning it states it as opposed to not stating it, not that it's a good thing. The dog caught the scent of one of the three missing parties. Well, one of the three missing parties should not have been in Chris Watts' work truck, because Chris Watts was not allowed to have passengers in his work truck or to drive his work truck other than for work purposes, as our oil field expert Kevin told us in a live stream from a few weeks ago. See, all this information is important and comes together. So those of you that know me know that I could go on from here for another 3 hours because of the evidence that actually did eventually get collected from inside Chris Watts' work truck, but not till days later, because even though the dog indicated, the authorities were too fucking lazy or incompetent to serve Anadarko a search warrant because they own the truck, so they could get in there immediately and get the fresh evidence. Might have been critical at that point, right? No, they just didn't bother to do it. Didn't bother to do it. Waited like, I don't know, was it like 5 days later or something, collected evidence. And they collected evidence that was so important, guys, including trace lifts of the steering wheel, the center console, the passenger seat, the all over the fucking truck. And on September 6th, 2018, just 3 weeks after this happened or less, CBI wrote Dave Baumhover, who just became the head of the investigation, a letter declining to test the evidence from inside Chris Watts' work truck that had already been collected. And you know what it would have told us? It would have told us if anyone else was in the work truck, like NK or somebody else. It would have told us, because they did those trace lifts from the back seat and the console. It would have told us that Shanann, Bella, and Ceca were in there, if that's what you believe. And it would have told us of those 3 family members that Chris Watts annihilated, who was alive and who was deceased. It would have provided a roadmap to better understanding this crime rather than fucking it up, getting it all wrong, getting the facts wrong in front of the judge and the victim's family, the sentencing and the world, telling Shanann's family the complete wrong thing that was the information upon which they decided they felt okay about Chris Watts taking a plea and not having the death penalty on the table and not having to go to trial, only to later found out the horrific reality Bella suffered from Dr. Phil after those investigators went out and interviewed Chris Watts in Wisconsin in February of 2019. It's such a travesty. I will link my most important video about the work truck in the description also. A lot of you have seen it. If you haven't, if you want to understand, if you really want to get your feathers ruffled or your panties in a bundle, watch that video because it's probably going to piss you off if you care about justice for these victims. And if you want to know about the things that really started to go wrong and how early in the investigation they did and why it wasn't even Chris Watts' plea that, stopped the clock on the investigation, because that was November 6th. But 2 months earlier on September 6th, the CBI was saying, fuck that, we're not going to test that evidence that you collected inside the work truck, even though we know, and our agent Tammy Lee said to Chris Watts, the only thing we know is that they left in your work truck. So they knew that family was in Chris Watts' work truck and was taken to Survey 319 where their remains were so disgracefully disposed of. But they didn't bother to analyze the evidence that was collected within. It's maddening. It's maddening shit. So know that the dog indicated if the work truck hit at the work truck. What a mess, my friends. I mean, it's such a mess. I mean, and then, so when people say to me in comments or chat or whatever, or email me or like, God, people got hold of my phone number. It's changed since, don't worry. And I mean, all kinds of threats and stuff. But I mean, in the most mild case, say, you're such a grifter. You're making money off of a dead woman. You fucking piece of shit. You should just die. How can you still keep talking about this case? And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, now, maybe, I hope you're all listening now because maybe you understand. Because that dead woman, as people call her, which I think makes me cringe every time. I'm like, how dare you just refer to Shanann as a dead woman and tell me I'm wrong for telling her life story, which has so much value. And I honestly believe she'd be happy that people were learning from the story of her life and her experience and even her death on such a large scale today. I know she'd be stoked about that. She'd think it was super awesome. She'd be so happy about that. So anyway, when people say shit like that to me, it's like, I'm not going to answer you because you're just so limited in your thinking. I have too many words it would take me to respond to you. But basically what I'm telling you guys all right now is the answer. That's right, girl. That's right. Oh gosh, if I had a voice, I'd keep preaching more because it really does obviously get under my skin. Yeah, DA work wanted a notch in his belt. That's true. I think there's a little more to it even than that, though. I think there's something a little more sinister. Yeah, the investigation didn't report the good work of the dogs. That's totally 100% perfectly said. Cody deserved way more credit. That's why we say, Cody, good dog. Come to our chat. We'll give you lots of biscuits. Lots of treats for Cody. You want a pig's ear? Or whatever is good for them to chew on these days. I only have bunnies. I haven't had a dog in I don't know, 4 or 5 years. Not like it's changed since then. Dieter would be 17 now. No, I think he's 13, you said? Why would I wait 17? Where did they even come from? Yeah, I think he is 13 or 14. I don't even know why I said 17, guys. I'm getting really tired. I do believe he's still alive. I saw a picture of him somewhat recently. He is very, very white and gray in the face. I mean, he's an old dog. But oftentimes the smaller the dog breed, the longer they live. I had dachshunds when I was growing up. They have special problems because of their body shape. They get hip dysplasia and they'll have like spinal problems that can, they're physical things, but they can be so debilitating to them. They can shorten their lifespan. And there's some other condition that they tend to get to that can possibly shorten their lifespan. But if you have a healthy dachshund, they will live for a long time. We got a dachshund when she was 10 years old because my mom and I are complete suckers for animals. And she lived to be 18 and a half. 18 and a half. He was 5 or 6 at the time, right? So do the math. So I think he's like 14 now or something. 13, yeah, maybe 13, 14, around there. Y'all are right. And I do think he's alive. Frankie is not announced. Frankie considers himself the, Dieter's daddy. He's in Frankie Shanann's brother's custody. And I always kind of like just, keep my radar out for, I think when Dieter passes, he'll tell people about it and, memorialize him. And I haven't seen any of that. So I think he's still alive. And I do believe he's having a good life. The Rusiks seem like they're very good to their animal family members. Like they really love their dogs. So I believe he's been living a good life, which is terrific. I have no doubt that they're treating Dieter like the little king that he is. The little lanky, long hot dog king. All right, guys, you are so amazing. I just love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I got to go. It's almost 1. My voice is fading, and this has been a long-ass live stream. We talked about a lot of things. And I'd love to hear from you in comments, or you can email me, wattsobsession@gmail.com. If you want to go to Patreon, there's exclusive members content on YouTube, also on Patreon. Patreon, it's more like things I can't put on YouTube because it's just too, I have some opinions about the Watts family dynamics. I could never make videos about them on YouTube because I would get kicked off. So they're on Patreon. And it's like paid membership. I think it's like $4 or something. And the reason that is because I need to, the same content that, puts me in a pot of boiling water on YouTube. I just can't let every single person on YouTube who already, is like after me with a pitchfork have access to it wherever they, stalk me at. So, so that's why. But thank you guys so much for being here. And remember, guys, life is hard and you should be good to one another. But mostly, my friend, you should be good to yourself because you so deserve it. And don't you think we live in a world where none of us really take the time to properly care for ourselves and just really give ourselves the grace and love that we need? So this weekend, if you can, I really would love for you to do something graceful and awesome for yourself because you deserve it. Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to play a little something for an outro so you guys can end your chats. If you need to get a hold of me, I've been really good with my email lately because did I tell you I have the summer off of my regular job? I'm just doing YouTube and taking care of myself and being with my son and my bunnies. Email me at wattsobsession@gmail.com. I've been good about getting back to people, or you can also get a hold of me through Patreon. I always get right back to Patreon members. So yeah, it is Saturday. I won't be doing a live stream tomorrow, but there will be one Monday night after the opening day of the Lindsay Clancy trial. So please join us here around 9 p.m. and we're going to talk all about it.
And so the court is going to accept this plea bargain under the circumstances. Words that come to mind when I hear the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime. And equally aggravating is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case. I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen.
Pregnant as well. How far along? 14, 15.
You know, you're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family, and I didn't know. Like, I
Get a divorce. You don't annihilate your family and throw them away like garbage.
Well, one thing led to another, and 8 years later, we have 2 kids. We live in Colorado, and he's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
It just doesn't add up. So either you're this monster, I just want this young, hot girlfriend, so I'm going to kill everyone and hope it works out, or something.
We're excited, and Cece's on week 2 of potty training. How many? Do you have any accidents today? No accidents today at school. No accidents this weekend. She's had 2 accidents in 2 weeks, which is incredible. A lot of yes, baby. She can, but after mommy, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
Say thank you for being the compliments.
Thank you to compliment.
All right, guys. Have a great day, and we're going to go celebrate our excitement over here. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
I didn't know. Like, I
Stop asking about it. She didn't have anything to do with it. She wasn't there that morning. She voluntarily cooperated with law enforcement. She provided us all the information. I'm not going to tell you where she's at. Stop. Leave me alone.